Serving all of the greater Baton Rouge and New Orleans areas, it's Mold Zero. Learn more online at mold-0usa.com. That's mold-0usa.com.
Insurance companies often discourage people from getting an attorney. If I can't get you more, even after our fee, then you owe us nothing, not even our costs. I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12670. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Let me go!
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah!
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I gotta come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
What's up, people? Welcome in to a Monday edition of Off the Bench. Mario Jerez on the other side of the room today, filling in for T-Bob Hebert and Jacob Hester. Everybody at the station is off tomorrow, but of course, both of those guys took the day off today. We are here, though. Mario Jerez, like I said, usually the producer of this show. Today, I am the host. Casey Gaines is on the audio board. Taylor Sharp is getting us on YouTube. Taylor is also essentially acting as the co-host today. He is going to contribute a lot on the microphone. We're going to talk a lot of LSU football today. We're getting closer and closer to the season. I'm getting more and more juiced up. I'm sure all of you are as well. And we have a lot more coming up, too. Weekend winners at 8 a.m., keeping with the schedule here on OTB. Carter, the Power Bryant, will join the show coming up at 8:30. Always love talking to Carter. And I know that most of the times when I fill in, whether it be for T-Bob and Jake, for Hunt, for Moscona, whoever, I try to have Carter on because I don't think he comes on very much on all the other shows. And that's somebody who is entrenched in LSU football, like 365 days a year, and somebody who's really passionate about LSU and college football. So always enjoy talking to Carter. He'll hop on at 8:30, hold the Mayo in his normal spot at 9:15. We'll have some spread lines from over the weekend. I know Hold the Mayo is feeling some type of way about what's going on Twitter. I know you don't know too much about that, Taylor, not being on that platform, but a lot of people really PO'd at Elon Musk, and honestly, rightfully so. We'll chop it up with Hold the Mayo about that, about whatever else is going on with RB&R Day today, right? Monday? Yeah, okay. We'll ask him where he's going today. And also, we will do Ask the Bench to end the show, take your questions. Please feel free to, be really interactive today in the chat. I want to make today's show very interactive throughout the show. Give me your opinions. Give me your thoughts. Let me know how your weekend was, what you're doing for the 4th of July. And for that last segment, make sure you get your questions in. Ask us anything about sports or about life. So looking forward to all of that. But before we get into it all, let's keep with the tradition here and go around the room, see how everybody is doing. Starting with Casey over there on the producer side, the audio side, I should say. Casey, what's up, man? How was your weekend?
Good weekend. It was hard going to bed on a Sunday to wake up early on a Monday.
I feel that. Thanks for being here. It was a little harder today. I definitely got into the 4th of July festivities myself yesterday, but still glad to be here. Like I said, getting closer and closer to football, so that definitely helps summon up a little bit of energy, at least for your boy. Taylor Sharp, how about yourself? How was your weekend, bro?
Dude, it was a busy weekend. Not even gonna lie. So Saturday, my grass is growing really quickly, and I told you this before the show.
Yeah.
I think the a-hole that had the house before me, I think he fertilized his lawn because my backyard never grows. I mean, as you know, it's 100 degrees outside. It hasn't rained in 2 weeks. That grass is dead. The front yard still grows every 3 to 4 days. So I'm cutting it almost twice a week now, trying to figure out why. But anyways, I'm cutting the front yard, the backyard, and I'm weed eating around the house. I got sunburnt. That is the first time that's happened since just strictly cutting my grass. I mean, I get sunburned at the beach all the time, but as far as around the house, it was hot this weekend, man. But it was a good weekend nonetheless. It did absolutely nothing yesterday and loved it. So pretty chilled overall.
That's always fun. Yeah, man. I see people cutting their grass in this heat, and it does not look very fun at the current moment. But I would suggest maybe start doing it with your shirt off, try and avoid that farmer's tan that you got. That might help you out a little bit.
Yeah, but then I'm just going to get burned more. So
fair point. Well,
the farmer's tan fits me, Mario. It suits my personality. I'm leaving it.
There you go, man. As long as you like it. As far as my weekend, it was pretty chill. Like I said, got to go by the pool yesterday. That was a lot of fun. But honestly, I was a little bit bored on Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening because there were no games on. Like, if you're a Major League Baseball fan, if you have a rooting interest, for sure, you can find something to watch on the television when you're chilling at your house. But I was looking for sports on Saturday. I was desperate. And it was on ESPN2 Saturday night that I was actually kind of locked into? Professional Cornhole. And the name of the league is ACL, which is kind of funny, the American Cornhole League. But I noticed watching the competition that there was a kid there, like a kid, I can tell you. He looked much younger than all the other competitors there. And I started to kind of research who he was. His name is Alex Hicks. He's somebody who doesn't have much information on himself, honestly, online, which makes sense. He's a 13-year-old kid, right? But he does have his own website. It looks like he calls himself the Baby Goat. I don't think he has that phrase trademarked, but he is selling a lot of merchandise with Baby Goat on it. So shout out to Alex Hicks. Look how much younger this guy looks than his teammate here. And he's on ESPN playing sports at a professional level. Like, that's really impressive for a 13-year-old, no matter what sport you're playing. And I guess no matter where you're ranked in that league. So I thought that was really interesting. When I was 13 years old, I thought I was cool just because I was a junior MC at a Hornets game. They're the Pelicans now. They were the Hornets back then. But Alex Hicks has it going on, and it looks like he does not have an overbearing father that's diving into everybody's DMs in an attempt to make him more famous while everybody else is cringing. So shout out to Alex Hicks. It was kind of fun watching Cornhole. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, Taylor, but I'm definitely pining for some football, man. It's definitely a struggle on the television during the weekends this time of year.
Dude, you talk about nothing being on TV. So I was at the gym yesterday, and they always have like during the spring they had XFL, they had baseball, they had all this. Fall, they have football like normal. Yesterday, they had the Nathan's hot dog eating contest replay from last year. The one this year is not till tomorrow. So they had the replay of the hot dog eating contest. It is a struggle for live sports at the moment, my friend.
Man, Joey Chestnut, the GOAT. Have you ever actually had Nathan's hot dogs?
Yeah, they're delicious.
I've only had it at the airport. I think it's either in Miami or Atlanta.
It's Miami because that was my dinner when we were coming back from Aruba. We had a late night flight. It was like a 10:30 flight. Nathan's was like one of the only things open in the airport, and I had it there like 2 months ago.
So good. Maybe like my favorite gourmet hot dog. And I love that dog down in New Orleans. I don't know if you're familiar. I know a lot of our audience is, but Nathan's in the airport might eclipse that, to be honest with you. So it is a struggle watching, trying to find sports to watch. And to be honest with y'all, this may be a little surprising coming from me, but I really missed the baseball this weekend, man. It was nice to have LSU playing, on that stage for the first time in a long time. And honestly, I got a little into the College World Series last year, 2 years ago. Musso and I had the show, the betting show. So we kind of had to be in tune with all the teams there. And I enjoyed it from a betting standpoint. But having LSU back for the first time since 2017 was a lot of fun. And I thought we could spend the last few minutes of the segment here kind of reminiscing on the season that was for LSU baseball. And the first thought I have on the surface after LSU wins this title is that honestly it feels a little overdue. Like, they hadn't even gone to Omaha since 2017, and they've had some really talented teams during those years, even during Paul Mainieri's last few seasons. But it was nice to see LSU finally break through and win their first national title in 14 years. Like, LSU has kind of been considered the standard in college baseball, in my opinion, just because, the facilities, the attendance that outdraws professional Major League Baseball teams, but they hadn't won a ring since 2009. And for a program that has 6 of those things, now 7, that was a big negative on the program. So it was nice to see them finally break through, bring that national championship home to Baton Rouge. And unfortunately, I didn't get to enjoy many of the festivities. I told y'all I had kind of a rough week. I had a girlfriend lose a relative last week, so I've been back and forth from New Orleans, but the celebration looked like a lot of fun at Alex Box Stadium, man. If you went to the celebration, talk to me in the chat. Let me know how it was. Taylor and Casey, did y'all get a chance to enjoy any of the festivities around town or in the stadium?
Not the festivities, but like you said, man, I was more locked in than normal, and it's, I run the board for Blair at LSU and everything, so I was kind of there almost every night of the week, but like you said, the run they made, they played 8 games in a total of 10 days, and then the pitching got so thin. You're looking and you're like, all right, who's going to be the bullpen guy? Which one of those guys is going to step up today? And it seemed like every single game, with the exception of game 2 of the World Series, LSU had a guy step up. And you were talking about, it's been so long. It's been since 2009. It really goes to show you not how much baseball has grown just nationwide, but really in the SEC. This was actually yesterday. I was looking, college baseball came out with their, attendance, the top attendance for all throughout college baseball. LSU was number 1, obviously, but the top 6 all in the SEC and like 8 of the top 10 all in the Southeastern Conference. I'm like, it's hard, man, because no one's ever going to go on that Skip Bertman type run again. Yep. LSU was on so much higher of a curve than everybody else, that the playing field's leveled out a little bit. So it's hard. No one's going to go on that run again, but I think Jay Johnson, he's going to have this team in this program at the top for a while, and I'm excited.
I love that guy, man. Jay Johnson is somebody who really loves baseball. You could tell he's really meticulous in what he does. Like, he has a very, precise process in what he does day to day throughout the season. But you can also tell how much he loves these kids, man. Like, he didn't have to come here. T-Bob and Jake were talking about it the other day. A very, comfortable position in Arizona, where he was 1 win away from winning the national title there, too, right? He, much like Brian Kelly did on the football side, accepted that challenge. And much like Brian Kelly's hoping to do in his second season here, he, accomplished what he literally came here to do. And LSU takes home the national championship. So I am really optimistic about Jay Johnson going forward. And Taylor, I'm really happy you brought up Skip Bertman. That's a guy I am really happy for. And somebody who's a bigger baseball fan than me, let me know, why did it take them so long to honor him in Omaha? Like, we're in 2023, and I know, like, other guys like Augie Garrido, whatever his name was, from Texas, other coaches have been honored in the last few years, but it seems a little overdue to give Skip Bertman his props there. So I was glad he finally got to experience that. He also gave me some food recommendations in Miami. Shout out to Skip and Cano. Garcia's was really good over there down in the Strip. But I was really happy for Skip, not only to get to be honored, but to be honored at the World Series where LSU takes home the championship. So I'm sure that was really cool for Skip. I was really happy for him. And as far as what I'll remember most from the run from LSU baseball, I need to acknowledge that working here during that run was really fun. And I've been at Guarantee since 2019. And since I've been here, LSU football has won a championship. Kim Mulkey and the women's basketball team has won a championship. And now Jay Johnson takes home the national title with the baseball team. Like, getting to work here and experience, the whole season, calling the coach week to week, seeing kind of the effects of the season throughout the year, culminating in a championship. Like, that's a really cool experience. That's something that's not lost on me. And I really loved the moment with Jordan Thompson, man. Like, this man was 1 for 31 on the biggest stage of his life. Like, all the fan base mad at him, tweeting mean things. I'm sure his teammates are being nice to him, trying to not get in his head. But that's tough, man. You're in your own head. Like, when you're in a stretch like that, nobody feels worse than you as the athlete. So I thought it was a really, really good wherewithal from the LSU fans to give him that standing ovation in that final game there. And he gets the clutch hit. He has a big performance. He gets to address the crowd after the game. Like, that was really cool, Taylor, seeing Jordan Thompson get to accomplish that. Like, that's one of the things I love about sports, and mainly collegiate sports.
Yeah, it was. And me and you, we had some thoughts off mic about Jordan Thompson, and I was critical of him at times. And I don't think I was totally off base, but like you said, it got to be more than just the hitting. I mean, it's one thing to go 1 for 31, but you watch the game. It was game 2 against Florida. He scoops up the ball. The Florida runner's already on third base. Thompson's like, I have to make a play. I've been in such a slump. He throws it to third anyways, over Tommy White's head. He scores. He's kicking balls off of his foot, which he really hadn't done all year. And he did it a lot last year, and that's when everybody's like, oh, is Thompson good enough defensively? He was great defensively all year long, and it got from a batting slump to just a baseball slump altogether. But you're right. It was if you were listening to the radio broadcast, which I had to do, I had to listen to it on the radio, you hear Blair talking and, like, the crowd just erupts. And, like, you're like, what's going on? And then Jordan Thompson's coming up to bat, and just everybody was behind him the whole step of the way. Yeah, I think you're right. It's like, that's what you love about college sports, but, like, that's also what you love about LSU baseball fans, because, like, very few college baseball teams have a fan base that passionate and that behind the team, and it was great to see.
Yeah, I agree. And that aware, right? Like, Jay Johnson said it every time he was asked about Jordan Thompson. Yes, he's struggling right now, but without him, we would not be here. And LSU fans, to your point there, knew that as well. So that was really cool to see. It was nice to see him break through when he had to, when the team had to have it. And I'll really miss Riley Cooper. Riley Cooper's gone, right? Or does he have another year left?
No, he's back.
Oh, he's back. Well, either way, he's going to be back and trying to build on what he's done, because he should already live in LSU lore forever. Like, not only how effective he is, how good he is as a closer, as a relief pitcher, but just how cool it looks, man. Not just his frame, T-Bob talks about it all the time. In the age of Ozempic, the thick man reigns supreme, all that stuff. But not just the body type, but the hair, man. That is a good looking individual over there and a really good baseball player. So I'm glad Riley Cooper's coming back. I'll never forget the run that he had. It reminds me a little bit of a kind of different roles on the team, but Chad Jones back in the day in 2009, like he was coming in during the World Series, during that postseason. I was confident he was going to get whoever out and LSU was going to be able to close the game. So I really enjoyed watching Riley Cooper throughout the run there for LSU baseball. And how about the intros from T-Bob, man? And Casey, you can give your opinion too here. I know you've seen them because you have to working here. But what's y'all's favorite T-Bob intro from the College World Series? Let me know in the chat too. I really enjoyed the one when we won the Natty, Taylor, when we played levels. He did his whole thing. But when we beat when LSU defeated Wake Forest on the Tommy Whitehall walk-off, T-Bob was in here like at 5:45. Like, this man was juiced up. And this is after he was drinking at Don Juan's all night. He comes in here. He's like, "Yo, Mario, you mind if I use your chair for a second?" I'm like, okay, kind of confused. And T-Bob makes the mix down for the intro, like uses the audio software to put Chris Blair's calls with the music. And then he did his whole thing, and I was really impressed with T-Bob that day, TBH, to be honest with you guys. And I loved the energy there. And as far as as fun as it was winning the national championship, I might have enjoyed the walk-off from Tommy White a little bit more. Kind of like when people talk about the Saints Super Bowl year and they said that they enjoyed the Garrett Hartley kick more than actually winning the Super Bowl. That might be how I feel about LSU defeating Wake Forest. And honestly, that is probably my favorite T-Bob intro from the whole run.
Yeah, for sure, mine too. And if you forget, well, you shouldn't forget, because we were soloing it with Hester all week. T-Bob had been on vacation.
Yeah.
He had to watch all those. He got back on Thursday. That was that Thursday night game, because you were off Friday, then you played Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So, like, that was the first game T-Bob was actually in Baton Rouge for. And you're right. Like, he came in, he's like, "Mario, get out the way. Like, I gotta edit this stuff. Like, I know exactly how I want it." And, like, I didn't know T-Bob had the editing skills that he did. But, no, that was for sure the one. I mean, that was the more raw emotion one. I mean, I know we always like to joke at T-Bob. We're like, "Oh, he's outlandish. He's over the top." That one was from the heart, man. Like, he was fired up about it. He loved the Tennessee one just because he loves to beat Tennessee. But, yeah, I get it. And I think it's because, like, all year long, everybody's like, if LSU's not the best team in college baseball, it's Wake Forest. And then, LSU drops those 2 SEC series late in the season. Wake Forest pass them up in the rankings. They're now the betting favorite to win in Omaha. They got the deeper pitching staff than you. They supposedly have the better roster top to bottom. But you kind of, like, slayed the giant at that point, if you will. And I mean, I personally think Florida was better than Wake Forest. That was my opinion all season long. But yeah, like Wake Forest, they had all the hype around them. So you kind of got past that big obstacle, and you're like, we're in the championship series. Anything can happen now. All of our pitchers are now available again. Like, let's go win the thing. And ultimately they did.
Well, it was appropriate, right? Because it felt a lot like 2017 during that run. They had to win 3 games in 3 days, right? They had to beat Oregon State, who at the time was very similar, number one seed, whatever it was. But they lost. They didn't finish the job, right? It was really appropriate that they did rally. They did win the 3 games in 3 days. And not only did they take home the national championship, but they did it against the Florida Gators. Like, that had to feel really good, not just for the current team, but for the 2017 team as well. I saw some of those guys, Chris Reed and others, out there posting on Twitter. So that was really cool. Shout out to LSU baseball. Like I said, maybe a little surprising coming from Mario, but I really missed the baseball this weekend. And to be honest, I'm really looking forward to see what LSU can do next year as the Tigers try to repeat under Jay Johnson. So shout out to the LSU baseball team. This is Off the Bench. Mario Jerez filling in for T-Bob and Jake. Shout out to everybody in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat. Edward O. Nuss Bus Driver says that LSU at the moment is a 7.5-point underdog at Alabama. Not till November, but y'all better go bet now if you have the extra change, says Edward O. I'm about to check that out over the break, because that's kind of a crazy spread, even here on July 13th. So We will talk LSU football throughout the show. Matter of fact, when we come back, we will talk some Tiger football, look ahead to the season, slowly but surely approaching, and I am getting excited. I will have stuff to watch other than cornhole on the TV on Saturday night. So looking forward to that. We will take our first break here on Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Get Gordon and get it done. 225-888-8888. The Gord father of NIL has created the G Team. And, well, guess what, Jake? All your favorite athletes are on the G Team. Go check out the Grubbin' with G series. You can follow Gordon on Instagram, Twitter, wherever at Get Gordon, and you can see his sit-downs with Flau'jae Johnson, with Angel Reese. I gotta love it. Him and Flau'jae are, I told you, everybody's having this conversation. They're like talking about how Gen Z doesn't want to work, but Flau'jae works her ass off. You know what got her? A natty. You know who's going to work their ass off for you? Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, 225-888-8888.
Go to the website, getgordon.com. If you can't get to a phone and dial the 8, you can always do it right there online because you can have a chat online. So whatever you've got coming up, you can ask that question. Check out a list of cases they can handle for you. All that on the website. Again, getgordon.com. On social media, the handle at getgordon. T-Bob gave it to you. The area code in Louisiana, followed by the 8s. 888-8888.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big V and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look.
Curb appeal.
Live at lunch, taking a few days off for the 4th of July. We'll be back on July 5th, Wednesday, from Mike Anderson Seafood, just off of Nicholson. It's Live at Lunch, live from Mike Anderson's, Wednesday, July 5th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
What's up, people? Welcome back to the show. Mario Jerez filling in for T-Bob and Jake. Those guys took a vacation day today. All good. Don't blame them. They're enjoying the 4th of July festivities, much like all of you are as well, I'm sure. I really like this song. Shout out to Casey playing the tunes here today. I know the lyrics. I know it's not the happiest message, you know, the Vietnam War and all that stuff, but I really like this song, and it's about the USA, so we're going to play it today, and we're going to have good vibes here on Off the Bench. So, like I said in the last segment, football season slowly but surely approaching. SEC Media Days will kick off 2 weeks from today. We will let you know what the plans are for the station as far as who we're sending soon. But SEC Media Days 2 weeks from today, we'll see who LSU brings. That's always kind of the informal start of football season around these parts, right? Honestly, I was a lot more into it when I was younger. Now kind of being in the industry, you know, keeping up with it, I feel like it's a lot of fluff, to be honest with you. But, you know, there's always new coaches. There's always interesting sound bites. There's always a lot of interesting things going on at SEC Media Days. And like I said, it lets us know we're getting closer to the season. So looking forward to that. As far as when the games start, it is off and popping in 62 days for LSU football against Florida State. I was thinking about doing a jersey countdown thing here, Taylor, but honestly, the number 62, from what I can see, doesn't have very much relevance when it comes to LSU football. So didn't think we would do that today. Maybe in the future when T-Bob and Jake are back, that's something we could implement into the show. I know Stephen Miller and a lot of you already do that kind of thing, but I enjoy doing it and actually talking about LSU and the history and the relevance with numbers. So maybe that's something we do in the future. But like I said, looking forward to the season this year. And if I could be candid, if I could be honest with the audience for a second, my relationship with college football the last couple of years has been kind of weird, right? Like, I'm sure many of you know, LSU stopped the Spanish radio broadcast last season. And for those of you who don't know, I called the games in Spanish from 2012 all the way up until 2021. Last year, out of nowhere, that was all gone. And I was very vocal about it on social media. I'm sure some of y'all have seen the Facebook posts. I'm not going to hammer that point anymore. But to be honest with you guys, last year, it was kind of tough for me to get into the games and even the LSU games like I normally am. Like after 10 years of calling games in that stadium every Saturday, it could be tough to go back to being a fan. And I know that comes from a place of great privilege, but that's something I honestly did struggle with a little bit last year. But to be honest with you guys, LSU had a great season last year. I'm way more at peace with the situation this year, and I'm a lot more juiced up for Tiger football this fall. So, like I said, I'm a lot more excited right now compared to this time last year. And if you're an LSU fan, you should be as well. I mean, we're talking about the reigning SEC West champs, and they have a lot of players coming back, a lot of key guys coming back. And I thought that's something we could discuss throughout the show today. Excuse me. Ooh, thank God for the cough box there. LSU has a lot of key players coming back, and looking at who they lost, they didn't lose that many pieces. They lost some important pieces, but there's going to be a lot of continuity on this football team. Like just on the surface, seeing who they lost, the secondary is going to have a lot of new faces, right? Jay Ward maybe didn't play as well last season as some people would have expected him to, but he was steady there at cornerback. He's gone. Jarek Bernard-Converse, the transfer from Oklahoma State, he had the interception against Alabama. He's gone as well. They go in the 4th and 6th rounds, respectively. And you also lose Jaquelin Roy along the defensive line. That's something I was really holding out hope that the Saints would get on the interior D-line there, but not meant to be. And for what it's worth, I think LSU, to an extent, kind of wasted the first couple of years of Jaquelin Roy's career, because that was somebody who was really good from the start. And I think LSU is going to miss him. Offensively, you lose Anthony Bradford, the right guard, Keyshawn Butte, who didn't have a very good season, wasn't drafted very high. And the guy that LSU will miss the most is probably B.J. Ojulari, at least in my opinion. Like, I remember sitting in the press box during the LSU-Alabama game, and he was whooping up on the left tackle, Tyler Steen, throughout that game. Maybe didn't have the sack numbers and the production there, but B.J. Ojulari really took over that Alabama game at times. So that's who I think LSU will miss the most, just on the surface, Taylor. What do you think as far as who LSU is losing?
Well, you know, I was going to go BJ, but look, since you did it, I'll go somewhere else. I'll go I'll go Jay Ward and Jarek Bernard-Converse, maybe that duo, and really more so Jay Ward. Now, look, Converse came in last year on a team where you had zero cornerback depth at all. I mean, you had nothing, and he came in as a guy from Oklahoma State, started 30-plus games at corner. It is hard. You could bring in all the talent you want. It is hard to replace that kind of experience. And then you look at a guy like Jay Ward. He came in as a freshman. He played a little bit of corner, played pretty well, made some plays against Florida in that shoe throw game that LSU ultimately won, but you could move him to safety. Again, you could play him at corner. Then you roll him down to play that nickel position. The versatility of a guy like Jay Ward, that's something you're going to be missing. I mean, the talk this year has been what on the defense? Who's going to play corner? Who's going to play that nickel role? I mean, Jay Ward's a guy where you could have plugged in really on the inside or the outside, and you would have been confident that he would have made plays for you, a guy that played a ton of ball here as well. So I'm going the veteran experience of Jay Ward and Jarek Bernard-Converse. It's going to be hard to replicate.
It is. And like I said, I know there's question marks in the secondary, and that's very understandable. But LSU does have a lot of key pieces coming back, not just in terms of, players, offense and defense, but the coordinators are both back for the first time in a long time. On the other side of this break, I kind of want to talk about Matt House, Mike Denbrock, what they did in their first year, how they're both coming back, which is rare for this football team the last 5 years or so, and how they can build on what they did. Looking forward to that conversation coming up next. Mario Jerez, Casey Gaines, Taylor Sharp are all here with you until 10 a.m. This is Off the Bench on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Turn my music high, 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 yeah. Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you could run the slalom. And cops comb this top to bottom.
Hey, it's Hunt. Join me for a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We'll talk transfer portal for baseball. We'll talk the MLB draft. Probably some football list too. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
None of those guys are here. It's just me, Mario Jerez, on the other side of the desk today. Casey Gaines on the audio board. Taylor Sharp getting us on YouTube. Also the de facto co-host for me here today. We're talking a lot of LSU football. 62 days away from the season opener against Florida State. The Tigers owe those guys one for sure. Should be a really entertaining game. Should be at least a top 10 matchup, but we'll see where the rankings stack up before that contest. In the last segment, we were talking about some guys that LSU lost, and in this segment, I thought we can get into the returners here. And there are a lot of key pieces coming back, especially offensively. But before anything, I want to acknowledge that both of the coordinators are back. It's the first time since 2019, when LSU brought back Dave Arand to Steve Ensminger, that the Tigers are returning both coordinators. And I think that continuity is really important, especially when you have a quarterback returning as well in Jaden Daniels. So I think they both did really good last season, Matt House and Mike Denbrock. Honestly, going in, I was more confident about the Matt House hire. When I heard Denbrock kind of describe his philosophy, I thought maybe it would be, and I know he came from Cincinnati. They put up a lot of points, but I thought it might be a little bit vanilla just based on how he described how he wanted to do things. But they, made Jaden Daniels a starter. I thought that was the correct decision. And LSU's offense played as well as it could have last season, especially when you consider, not only a new quarterback, but 2 freshman tackles. And we'll get into Campbell and Jones in a little bit, but given the personnel that you would think is going to be significantly better going forward, the coordinators did a lot from the onset here at LSU. And when it comes to Matt House, I was telling you, Taylor, during the break, my biggest concern is one day soon, maybe he tries to make the jump to the NFL. This is somebody who is with the Chiefs, right? As a position coach, he was coaching the
linebacker coach.
Yeah, he was coaching the linebackers there. He was also a coordinator at Kentucky, so it's not like he hadn't called plays before, but just reading between the lines and reading Mark Stoops' comments when he did leave Kentucky, it seems like Matt House's ultimate goal is to get to the NFL. So if the defense continues to, build on what they've done, that might be a concern for LSU going forward, if you consider that concern. Maybe a good problem to have. But like I said, Mike Denbrock kind of exceeded my expectations in his first season. LSU had a really good running game. The passing game, I thought, improved gradually throughout the season. I know they had some bad moments, in the Texas A&M game and otherwise. But again, given the personnel, I thought both coordinators did a really good job in their first season, Taylor. And I'm excited to see how they build on it here in 2023.
Dude, I thought they were great. I don't think it was, something to build upon. I thought Matt House was phenomenal at times. I mean, our offense was bad against Auburn and Arkansas, but what did the defense do? They shut them down time and time again and came up with turnovers always at the right time. It seemed like LSU, anytime they needed a big play, that defense made it. And as far as Denbrock goes, he started a little slow to the season. But again, how much of that was Jaden Daniels trying to get accustomed to playing in the SEC in a new conference on a new team? I mean, everybody's like, oh, he's a fourth-year player. It's like, yeah, but this is his first year at LSU. I mean, this is his first year meshing with those guys. So how much of that was Daniels getting adjusted than it was to Denbrock? But as far as end of the year goes, I thought Denbrock did a pretty good job. I'd probably give him a B-. There were some things here and there I think he could clean up. But, I mean, overall, yeah, he definitely exceeded my expectations. And Matt House blew me away. I thought he was one of the top 5 to 10 defensive coordinators in the country last year.
Agreed. Both coordinators back for LSU this season. That's huge. And offensively, like I said, Jaden Daniels is back. And his backup, Garrett Nussmeier, is waiting in the wings as well. That's somebody who I think is prepared to play, injury or otherwise. If he needs to step on the field, I think he's prepared to go out there and produce. But I think having Jaden Daniels back is huge, and I think you'll see the chemistry with his receivers really show itself a lot more this year. To your point there, Taylor, I thought, he had a really tough job coming in, not only learning a new offense, but trying to get Kayshon Boutte the ball, frankly. That was something that LSU really tried to do. It seemed like they were kind of force-feeding him at times, and obviously you want a dynamic player like that. It's not necessarily a good thing that he's gone, but maybe it does end up being a good thing in the end because you could spread the ball out more, and now you don't really have that problem like you did last year. And to that same point, I am really pumped to watch Malik Neighbors play football this season. And he got into a little trouble over the summer, but it wasn't anything major. I thought he handled himself great after that incident, and he really had some flashes of greatness last season, in my opinion. I mean, several plays that come to mind. The fade route against Mississippi State, LSU was down in that game. They needed to make a comeback late. You really saw the rapport kind of start there between Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors, in my opinion. He owned Eli Ricks in the Alabama game a couple of times. That was really fun to watch. That really made me respect Malik Neighbors. And then people forget the touchdown run on the reverse against Purdue because LSU was up by 1 million points. You were basically in garbage time at that point. But that was a really impressive play. Like, he really showed off his athleticism on that touchdown run. He's trying to build on a great sophomore season. This is a guy who didn't get in the end zone very much, Taylor. I was honestly surprised to see that he only had 3 touchdowns on the season, but 72 catches, 1,000 yards, average of 14.1 per reception. I think he's going to be better this year, and I think he could play himself into being a first-round pick. He kind of reminds me a lot of a Terrence Marshall, to be honest with you, but maybe a little bit bigger, or maybe a little bit faster. Maybe a little bit more shifty than Terrace was, and I'm really excited to watch Malik this year.
Yeah, he's going to be good, and like you mentioned, he is now that guaranteed, that bona fide number one receiver. And I agree with you. The passing game probably will be better and, frankly, has to be better this year. I thought Daniels was good for the most part. Did think there was a little bit left to be desired. But like you mentioned, Boutte's gone, and I don't want to crap on the dude, but it's one of those things where it's like addition by subtraction.
Yeah.
You're not trying to force feed one guy the ball. You're going to spread it around. During break, you were talking about who's going to be that number 2 guy. Everybody assumes it's going to be Bryant Thomas, but Kyron Lacey's no slouch either. It could just as easily be a guy like him or one of these freshmen like a Shelton Sampson or a Jalen Brown. People don't realize how much talent LSU has in that receiver room right now. And if Daniels, Nussmeier, whoever's back there can get them the ball, then, yeah, good things are going to happen for the passing game.
It's insane. The depth of receiver the last few years has been absolutely insane. Like, you and I talk about being fans of Trey Palmer. He did some really good work in Nebraska. I think he's going to be good in the league as well. But how can you be mad at LSU in that situation, with the people that were in that room and that were on the team? So I think there's a lot of depth there. We'll see who is the breakout guy, who's like the 1,000-yard receiver, anything like that. To your point, a lot of people think it could be somebody else. Carter the Power Bryant is going to join the show at 8:30, and he does really good work. Go check out Carter's show. But he did a whole thread yesterday about Brian Thomas Jr. and how he can break out this season. So maybe he's not in agreement with what I'm saying about Malik and maybe him being the featured guy. So really looking forward to the conversation with Carter later. And like I'm saying, I'm looking forward to watching Malik Neighbors this season. Like, the production looks really good. We just went over his stats, but how about the bounce back after the 2 fumbles against Florida State in that first game? He had the bat-breaking muff at the end. LSU ends up picking up a fumble near the goal line, driving down the field to tie the game. But he had a bad performance in that first game. No other way to say it. Unfortunately, it kind of laid the table for a miserable year for the LSU special teams. But I remember LeBron James tweeting at Malik Neighbors saying, keep your head up, number 8. And I thought he really embodied that, really starting with the next drive. Like, he had some critical catches on that drive before the touchdown by Jerez Jenkins to almost tie the game. The PAT gets blocked there, but some good stuff from Malik Neighbors after a really rough start to the season. So really looking forward to see what he can do this year and see if he can eclipse that 1,000 yards and maybe get in the end zone a little bit more than 3 times this year. So offensively, LSU has a lot coming back, and the offensive line certainly has a lot coming back. This is a team that did a good job run blocking last year. I think the pass pro is going to be better this season. Daniels' mobility helped a lot last year, but man, I'm excited to watch the O-line, Taylor. Like I said a couple of minutes ago, what Will Campbell and Emory Jones were able to do last season as freshmen is incredibly impressive. Like, making the jump from high school to college is really hard on any level, but to be thrown in the fire in the SEC on a team that has so much, so many new pieces, a team that's in transition, like, I don't think it's been talked enough, honestly, what Campbell and Jones did last season. And LSU's O-line, I think, could be one of the better units in the country this year.
Yeah, it's funny. You talking about that O-line and those 2 freshmen. Any other year, a guy coming in, those 5-star guys LSU's got coming in is like a Lance Hurd would be that guy. You're like, oh, is he going to get plugged in? He's almost behind the 2 true sophomores now that are on that depth chart. I mean, Lance Hurd, a 5-star coming in, top 15, top 20 player in the entire country, is going to have to fight for playing time this year, and that's typically not something you see. But you mentioned it, both of those guys. I mean, Will Campbell, he came in as that guy, like, he's ready to play right away. He was here in the spring. He was that number 1 left tackle really since day one, but kind of halfway through the year, Emory Jones is that guy that really stepped up, and he was just as good, if not better at times, than Will Campbell was. Yeah, LSU has a bright future on the O-line.
Excited for the offense this season, and the defense is going to have a lot of continuity as well. We talked about Matt House coming back on the other side of this break. We'll talk about some familiar faces that are coming back for the LSU defense this year. And one guy that I honestly don't think is being talked about enough that's coming back from injury, that's coming up on the other side of this break. Mario Jerez, Casey Gaines, Taylor Sharp, here with you till 10 a.m. This is Off the Bench on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Turn my music high, 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 yeah.
You don't know what you're doing.
Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you can run the slalom. And cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. With personalities clashing, chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like it's Wall Street.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
All right, let's say ah.
It's Matt Moscona wishing everyone a happy and safe 4th of July weekend. We are working Monday, so we'll see you here from 3 to 6 for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Have a great 4th of July, and we'll see you Monday on AFR.
We were singing bye bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye and singing, this'll be the day that I die.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Wrapping up hour number 1 here on Off the Bench. Mario Jerez in for T-Bob and Jake. Casey Gaines and Taylor Sharp, the producers, hanging out with you here as well. We're talking a little LSU football. Thought I left myself a little bit more time. Guess I'm still keeping in the tradition of OTB. Les Miles was my coach and whatnot, right? I don't know the clock. We were talking about the LSU defense and some guys who were coming back. Mason Smith is one of those guys. And honestly, it's not like we haven't talked about Mason Smith at all, but I feel like we should be talking about him on this show a little bit more than we are. Like, remember how dominant this guy was coming out of high school, 5-star out of Terrebonne. And from the start, you know, he made a really big impact as a freshman. And when Brian Kelly got here a year ago and became the head coach of this football team, he talked about Mason Smith. And he said publicly, this is the guy that's about to show the country who the hell he is. And then he plays, 4 or 5 snaps against Florida State, and he's out for the season. Really unfortunate injury, Taylor. He was dominating that first series. He was throwing guys around. I remember the play on the play where he got injured. He dominated the guy in front of him. He got some penetration. The play bounced outside. One of his teammates made the tackle, and he was pumped because that was his play, right? Even though he didn't make the tackle, he jumps in the air, and unfortunately, he kind of pulls a Martin Gramatica and injures himself while celebrating. But I'm pumped to watch Mason Smith, man. And I know there's some questions in the secondary, but you would think you have a good linebacker core. You would think Harold Perkins is going to dominate as a sophomore. If you put Mason Smith in that mix, this defense can be really scary.
No, we can. And it's funny you say that, like, oh, we should talk about him more than we do. But it's like, I feel like that always happens anytime somebody gets injured, you know, especially opening drive, opening game of the year. And then, like, if you would have told me at the beginning of last year, hey, coming into the 2023 football season, Mekhi Wingo is going to be an All-American, I would have said, well, we got the best D-line duo in the country because Mason Smith's going to be an All-American as well. It's funny, like, Wingo's kind of getting all that hype now. Mason Smith, kind of the guy that slept on a little bit. I'm sure if you ask people, most of them are like, oh, Mason Smith projects better at the next level. Mason Smith's a better athlete than Mekhi Wingo. But because he had that injury, you're right. People are sleeping on him, and I like it. Like, keep sleeping on the dude. Keep all your focus on Mekhi Wingo. Let Mason Smith come in there almost unblocked. And you're right, he was throwing people around that entire first series against Florida State. I'm excited to watch him. And you're right, like, as much we talk, because we talked about it earlier. I was saying Jay Ward, Jarek Bernard, Converse, the absence of them. What are you going to do in that secondary? Because really, outside of Greg Brooks, you don't have a lot returning there as far as experience. But if this front seven's as good as it can be, if you could just get average to above average production from that secondary, you're going to be a really good defense.
I'm with you, and you make a really good point about Mekhi Wingo. This is somebody who was somewhat heralded coming in. You know, he made the All-SEC freshman team last year as a member of Missouri, but he comes in and now he becomes an All-SEC performer. Like, the freshman team be damned. It was really impressive what he did in Mason Smith's absence, and like you said, you have both of those guys in the fold this year. This could be a really scary group. And as far as the special teams, I think there's a lot of question marks there too, right? Like, LSU brought in some really highly ranked recruits to challenge Damian Ramos. I thought Ramos had some good moments last year. He had some bad moments last year, but it's hard for me to judge because the entire special teams unit was so bad. You had blocks, you had muffs. It just it wasn't a good thing. So that's why they let the coach go, and the special teams needs to improve for LSU this season. We'll see what that looks like in terms of personnel. But that'll pretty much do it for us here in the first hour. We'll kick off hour number 2 with weekend winners, as we do every Monday at 8 a.m. Then we got Carter the Power Bryant coming on at 8:30. Hold the Mayo at 9:15. Maybe we'll talk NBA free agency at some point. If you want to find out, hang around. This is Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special, grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired. There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
diamond you're looking for, or how much money you have to spend, Lee Michaels will make you feel comfortable with your purchase. They've been in the community for 40 years and now have 2 locations in Baton Rouge on Corporate at Bocage and in the Mall of Louisiana, Lafayette, Shreveport, and also New Orleans. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com.
If you've been injured, it doesn't matter if you were hit by a big truck, a smart car, or anything in between. I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12671. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Let we go!
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah!
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I gotta come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
What's up, people? Happy 4th of July Eve. Mario Jerez here, filling in for T-Bob and Jake. Monday edition of Off the Bench. Casey Gaines on the audio board. Taylor Sharp getting us on YouTube. Also the de facto co-host today. Had a lot of fun chopping it up in hour 1 with Taylor. We talked a lot of LSU football. Expectations are definitely there for Brian Kelly and company going into year 2. We'll continue to talk LSU football throughout the show. We're 62 days away from the season opener, getting closer and closer to that first contest against Florida State. Like I told you in the first hour, everybody on the station is off tomorrow. Jimmy and Charlie are off today. They won't have their show, but the rest of the lineup is here for today. Hunt Palmer, Matt Moscona, and then we are all off tomorrow. So shout out to T-Bob and Jake taking an extra vacation day, making us do this. But I always enjoy hosting the show and hanging out with all of you. We have a very exciting show coming up to wrap up the final 2 hours. Carter the Power Bryant will be here at 8:30, give his take on LSU football. He has a really nice piece about Brian Thomas Jr. up right now. Looking forward to that conversation. Hold the Mayo will join the show at 9:15 too for our weekly spread lines. He always has thoughts coming out of the weekend, and we will do Ask the Bench to wrap up the show. We'll take your questions in the chat, anything about sports or life. Looking forward to that. But for now, we will kick off hour number 2 like we do every Monday at 8 a.m. with our weekend winners.
That's how winning is done.
That's right! We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure. We've got too far.
I'm by winning. I win here and I win there. Now what?
Are you doing what it takes to win a championship?
Wow, winning.
Well, then I guess there's only one thing left to do.
What's that?
Win the whole thing.
Okay, so I think it's appropriate to start the segment, acknowledging the holiday. It is the 4th of July weekend, technically, I guess. It's an extended weekend for most people, so I guess it's okay to call it that. And I always really enjoy the 4th of July. Those of you who know me know that I'm a first-generation American. My parents emigrated here from Guatemala. They both attended LSU when they first got to the country. And I tell people all the time, I've said in pieces and in interviews before that my parents kind of used LSU football as a way to ingrain themselves into the culture. That's what the LSU culture is, and ultimately, that's what America's culture is, right? And I know there's a lot of division, there's a lot of fighting always on social media and stuff, but that doesn't mean that it's real life, right? Like, I love living in this country. I love all the opportunities that it affords me. Not perfect. No nation is, I'm sure. But I really always enjoy the 4th of July. And like I said, at a time when there seems to be a lot of, divisiveness, everybody kind of comes together and we celebrate our country's independence. So I had a lot of fun yesterday by the pool all day. Like I said, it's going to be a really chill 4th of July this weekend. I might finally hang up that LSU baseball flag that I have commemorating the national championship. So shout out to the USA. Shout out to America. Love living here. Happy 4th to everybody. Taylor, you got any weekend winners, losers?
Yeah, we'll start with the weekend winner. You're going to love this one. Guy who kind of became a walking meme last year in the NBA, and rightfully so. But my first weekend winner is going to actually be Dillon Brooks. Dude signed a 4-year, $80 million contract with the Houston Rockets. I mean, he was the guy going after LeBron making him look foolish. He had the fallout with the Grizzlies. They decided to cut ties with him. But, hey, apparently the Houston Rockets saw something in him. 4-year, $80 million. Congrats to Dillon Brooks.
That's an interesting signing, man. Like, I know the Rockets are trying to bring in veterans. That's a team that has a lot of talent, but a lot of guys on rookie contracts. That's an interesting move. They got rid of the head coach. They have a new head coach over there in Udoka. Maybe that's somebody Dillon Brooks will respect, but if not, that can really go south. That's kind of like a high-risk, high-reward kind of move, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't really like it. I mean, we were talking, before the show started this morning. The Rockets spent $200 million on the duo of Dillon Brooks and Fred VanVleet. Now, both of them are fine players. Fred VanVleet had some big moments with Kyrie when they won the championship in Toronto a few years ago, but you're going to spend $200 million on those two guys. And, I mean, this is a team that has a lot of young talent. I mean, Tari Eason from LSU played really well last year. You drafted Jabari Smith pretty high. He showed some promise. You're going to bring in these two guys and try to kind of make them the centerpiece of the team. I don't get it at all, but look, whatever. Dillon Brooks got his bag, and that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, he doesn't have to learn Chinese after all. So shout out to Dillon Brooks. I have a weekend loser next year, and I know you'll appreciate this, Taylor. Taylor Swift. And I'm not going to lie, I got this from an article. Shout out to the New York Post. But they say she, quote, has got some bad blood with the city sanitation department. Since purchasing a 3-story townhouse in New York in Tribeca in October 2017 for $18 million, Swift has been ticketed 32 times, totaling $3,010 in fines for failing to keep the sidewalks in front of her building clean, according to city records. Come on, Taylor Swift. We got to pick up after ourselves. We got to respect the environment. I know you have the money to do so, or at least the money to hire a cleaning crew or something. Like, we got to do better here. And I told you over the break, Taylor, I had an analogy for Taylor Swift. She is Chick-fil-A. She is Chick-fil-A. I like Taylor Swift. I appreciate it just like I appreciate Taylor Swift. But just like the lines are way too long for Chick-fil-A, and I'm not about to wait that long for some chicken, I am not about to spend the amount of money that's necessary to go to a Taylor Swift show. Like, she is good. I'm not sitting here saying Taylor Swift has no talent. She's not a good artist, but she is way, way, way overhyped. Like, we talk about the Lakers, no offense, Taylor, but the Cowboys sometimes get that treatment. That's how I feel about Taylor Swift. And honestly, I think about her sometimes when I see that Chick-fil-A line, because I think it's a good analogy.
Casey, the show was going really good so far, and I can take the Cowboys hate. I take it from T-Bob and Hester, and I basically get bullied by everybody in this building on a daily basis. I can take that. But Mario, you are disrespecting Chick-fil-A. I get your argument, but
too long.
However, I agree, but they get you in and out of that line.
That's true.
In about 5 minutes. Look, he is not in the same stratosphere as Chick-fil-A. I went to that concert. Look, I've been to a lot of concerts. It was on the lower end of the ones I went to, and I understand that, look, I am a 26-year-old married guy with no kids. I am not the target audience for Taylor Swift. I totally understand that. I agree with you. I think she's very overblown, overrated. I'm not going to say she's not talented because the girl really can sing. I went to the concert. She had the pipes, but I didn't think the performance was great. And I'm with you, dude, but God, man, show Chick-fil-A some love a little bit, Mario.
Yeah, Carl Dunn in the chat says, Mario, you about to die. The Swifties about to come for me, dig up all my old tweets and everything, and that is a legit concern. Her fans are absolutely insane. But
speaking of her crazy fans, did I tell you what happened when I went to this concert?
You did not.
Okay, so keep in mind, it was my wife's best friend. She wanted to go for her birthday. I spent $0 on these tickets. Otherwise, I would not have went because I ain't about to do that.
Nice.
I'm sitting there, okay, and I'm on the end of the row. There's 4 of us, but there's 2 seats next to me. It's these 2 girls. They're probably 26, 27. I mean, they're my age. Taylor Swift simply walks out on stage, and Mario, you would think that this girl just like saw the greatest thing ever. I mean, she's bawling, crying uncontrollably, and then like Taylor Swift would get up there and like sneeze or something. The whole crowd goes nuts. I mean, it was louder than any LSU football game I've been to easily, because it was in NRG. It was the Dome Stadium floor seat. I mean, it was probably 90,000 people, and it was ridiculous. I had a terrible time.
I saw an article, maybe it was satire, maybe not, but I don't think it was satire, that some people were wearing adult diapers to go to the Taylor Swift show, so they didn't have to get up to go to the bathroom, and they could enjoy the entire show, like 100% of it. That's a little extreme. I don't even do that at sporting events, and it would benefit me. Trust me. Like when I was in Tiger Stadium, the press box or the bathroom was way too far away from my booth there in the press box. So I see the value in that, but again, I'm not doing that for Taylor Swift. Really good, but a little overhyped, just like Chick-fil-A. I have another weekend loser here, going back to the NBA for a moment. I'm going to put the Warriors as a weekend loser. I think that they have had a really weird offseason. I don't necessarily know if they're going to be better or worse, but it's really unorthodox. It's really not what I expected Golden State to do. They made the trade for Chris Paul days after Mike Dunleavy Jr. took the job, replaced Bob Myers, which is also a key loss for the Warriors, kind of the architect of the dynasty there. But Mike Dunleavy takes over the job, and he says, quote, Jordan's going to be here at least 4 more years. They just gave him that extension, right? Well, that ends up being a freezing cold take. They end up trading him a couple of days later, and they bring in Chris Paul. And I totally get it from Chris Paul's point of view. He is just ring chasing at this point, but that is a lot of egos there. Draymond Green and CP3 on the same team, and this is a team that's getting a little older. I mean, Steph misses time all the time. Klay Thompson, while still good, one of the best shooters of all time, definitely not what he used to be. And CP3, he pretty much breaks down every single playoff now. I tell people all the time, I feel like his kind of last stand was in that series against the Pelicans, where he had that game in Game 6 where he didn't miss a single shot from the field. But after that, it seemed like he kind of broke down, and he hasn't been as effective in the playoffs ever since. So I know you've been critical of the Warriors as well, Taylor. I think they've had a really weird offseason, including this weekend, and they're a weekend loser for me.
Dude, I got to be honest. And I may take some pushback on this from you, and that's totally fine. I don't know if I'm the Warriors front office that I would have re-signed Draymond Green. I'm really not sure. I mean, look, he's been the focus of a lot of tension in that locker room over the years, and I understand everybody's like, well, he's the engine that makes us go. Not at this point in his career, he's not. I mean, he averaged 8, 8, and 3 last year. I mean, that's not a guy that I'm paying $100 million for over a 3-year stint. I'm not going to do that, because 3 years from now, what type of player is Draymond Green going to be?
Yeah.
He's already can't really shoot from the outside, at least not consistently. He's not even the defender that he once was, which is why you had him on that team. I mean, Draymond's kind of like, he helps with your spacing on the floor, but Chris Paul's already going to do that as that ball-dominant point guard. You can put Curry more on the wings. That's already going to help with your spacing. I don't know if I would have re-signed him, at least not for that type of money.
Well said. Staying with the basketball, but now introducing a weekend winner. The finals are inevitable for the New Orleans Pelicans. What a pickup over the weekend. Cody Zeller coming to the Pels. $3.1 million deal on 1 year. Obviously, I'm being a little facetious there, but I think this is a good pickup. You know, Jackson Hayes gets let go. I was talking to Taylor. I fear he might actually be pretty good for the Lakers. But in terms of what the Pelicans want in that role, the third big man, Cody Zeller is somebody who is a good player, has been in this league a long time, was, I wouldn't say instrumental to the Heat's run to the finals, but Bilbo Baggins will have my back in the chat. I thought whenever he did play, he gave some good minutes. He's somebody who's a good rim protector, someone who's a veteran, and that's what the Pelicans are looking for, I guess. So I don't think it's going to push them to the finals, but I do think that is a good pickup. And the transaction that mattered for the Pelicans over the weekend, although this happened on Thursday, I believe, is the extension of Herb Jones. 4 years, $50 million plus. He's going to be making around 11 to 13 million on average in the next 4 years, which I think is great value for Herb Jones. This is somebody who's already an elite defender in the NBA, an inconsistent shooter, but he's only been in the league 2 years, and I trust his jump shot to improve, at least enough to where teams had to respect it. You saw that towards the end of the season last year. The last 3 months of the season, or the last 2 months of the season, I should say, Herb Jones shot 40% from the three-point line. So if he's able to spread the floor like that, you combine that with his defense, I think he could be a really good value on that deal, or give the Pelicans good value on that deal. What do you think?
Herb Jones is what the Pelicans are paying Draymond Green to be.
That's a good point. A little bit.
The Golden State is paying Draymond Green because they thought that at one point he was Herb Jones. He's not that guy anymore, and I agree with you. I think the Pelicans got an absolute steal here. I would have paid him even more money than they did and still felt good about it. He's a phenomenal two-way player. His shooting's getting even better, and he hasn't even reached the prime of his career yet. I think it was great.
Yeah, I'm with you. Imagine if, he doesn't have the added responsibility last year and he gets to play with Zion and with B.I. And there's a conversation, going on that maybe Herb needs to come off the bench because of the ascension of Trey Murphy. But whether he's a sixth man, whether he's a starter, he is your best defender. And I agree with Taylor. I think that's a really good role. In a perfect world, yes, he will play the Draymond Green role, maybe even a little bit better on offense. So I thought that was a good move for the Pelicans. I like the pickup of Cody Zeller. Don't really love Jackson Hayes going to the Lakers. Like I said, I heard a little bit about that from Jeremy Hill, big Lakers fan and friend of Jackson Hayes. His coach, his dad used to coach him on the Patriots, so those guys are tight. I know Hilly's glad that Jackson Hayes is going to the Lakers. So that's what's going on with the Pelicans. And again, I know we're heavy on NBA free agency here, but bear with me again. I was watching cornhole last Saturday night. Not too many things going on in the world of sports apart from NBA free agency. But the big story over the weekend, as far as the league as a whole, was Damian Lillard requesting a trade from the Portland Trail Blazers. It looks like he wants to go to the Miami Heat, which I appreciate. I've been making the joke, maybe it's not really a joke, that if Damian Lillard goes to the Heat, I might become a Heat fan full time. Like, I might just become the broadcaster for the Pelicans in Spanish, right? Like, I'm already a part-time Heat fan. Dame has been one of my favorite, if not my favorite player in the NBA since he's been in the league. Might have to become a full-time Heat fan if he does make that transition, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm sorry, Bilbo. The Blazers already came out. Bilbo, a fellow Heat fan, if you can't tell, in the chat. But the Blazers already came out and said that, we're going to do what's best for the team. We're not trying to trade Dame. As much as they want to do right by him, they're not trying to trade him to the team of his choice. And it reminds me of the Pelicans with Anthony Davis, right? And that was a little different situation. Like, the Lakers were straight up bullying the Pelicans in public to try to make them trade Anthony Davis. But I think that it's going to be really hard for the Heat to pick up Damian Lillard. You might have to get a third team involved there, get creative, but I am excited to see Dame go elsewhere. And I really respect how loyal he was to that organization, and he was really good. I mean, this man is still effective. You can argue he's playing the best basketball of his career. 32 points a game, 7 assists a game. Like, that's a player that could put you over the top into title contention if you are able to make that trade. But the Heat have been rumored. I've also seen a couple of other teams there, but the Heat seems to be where he wants to go. So Damian Lillard, just for a change of scenery, for me, is a weekend winner. What you think, Taylor?
No, I like it, but what a bandwagon fan Mario is, right, Casey? I mean, I'm going to be a full-time Heat fan. Mario, as a Cowboys fan, if I would have said that, I would have been eaten alive by everybody. But no, I agree with you. When you were on vacation, I was telling T-Bob, like, I've always been a Pelicans fan, but when me and you were growing up, it was Shaq and D-Wade. They won a title together in Miami. Then LeBron, Chris Bosh, and D-Wade, they won 2 titles there. Like, Miami's kind of always been the secondary team for me as well. So, no, I would love it. I'm not sure he goes there, though, like you were saying. I mean, me and you were talking about it before the show. Like, what's the best they could offer him? Duncan Robinson, Kyle Lowry, and 2 first-round picks?
Yeah, they're not trying to give up.
Maybe Tyler Hero, but how healthy is he? And then what are you going to have left after you get him on that roster? I mean, I actually don't think that's a good move for Miami or Portland to make. I don't think it happens.
It's debatable. I disagree. I think you can maybe put them over the top, but it's definitely debatable because, to your point, they have a system, they have a culture. Everybody from basically the end of the bench to Jimmy Butler plays a role and an instrumental role. So I definitely see what you're saying, but you saw him against Denver, man, just a little bit outmatched. Might need a little bit more star power to get that elusive ring for the Miami Heat. So we'll see what happens there, but it looks like Damian Lillard is going elsewhere. So that'll pretty much do it for our weekend winners. Started the second hour like we do every Monday at 8 a.m. On the other side of this break, a little bit of a shorter segment before we get to Carter Bryant. I want to talk some NFL, some general NFL. We talk a lot of Saints on this show, but there are some intriguing players going into the season, some guys coming off of injury, some guys with new teams, and I kind of want to explore this ESPN article talking about the most intriguing players going into the NFL season. That's what's coming up on the other side of this break. Mario Jerez, Casey Gaines, and Taylor Sharp here with you till 10 a.m. This is Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
225-206-1517. That is the cell phone number that can help you reach Thomas and Megan. Email the father-son or father-daughter insurance combo that is taking the world by storm. Taking South Louisiana, at least. Like Riverlands is as a whole, right? One of the fastest growing insurance companies in the South. Insurance Business Magazine named it the best insurance place to work in 2022. But look, all you need to, I mean, I guess it's a good way of validating them, Jake, but all you need to know is you call that number, and I don't care if you're a business owner, parent, your home insurance, single, like whatever it is, you just give Thomas the info. He does the shopping. He saves you money and puts excellent coverage in front of your face. Just trust me. Just make the call. Yeah, and it doesn't matter where you're at in Louisiana. We always kind of throw out some of the bigger cities, like smaller ones, like Cutoff, DeRitter, Chalmette. Like, it doesn't matter where you're at. Yeah. Call Thomas today, 225-206-1517. Not Chalmette. Never. I'm just kidding. Yes, Chalmette.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street. The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank.
Live at lunch, taking a few days off for the 4th of July. We'll be back on July 5th, Wednesday, from Mike Anderson Seafood, just off of Nicholson. It's Live at Lunch, live from Mike Anderson's, Wednesday, July 5th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Mario Jerez here, filling in for T-Bob and Jake. They are taking the day off. We all had the day off at the station tomorrow, but Mario Jerez, Casey Gaines, and Taylor Sharp are with you here today up until 10 a.m. This is going to be a shorter segment. We'll talk some more LSU football with Carter the Power Bryant on the other side, but I wanted to get into a little NFL here with Taylor. The season is quickly approaching, and kind of like I was talking about with LSU, I'm a lot more juiced up for the Saints and for the NFL this season compared to last year. I know a lot of people have doubts in Dennis Allen, Carmichael, the coaching staff, and that's understandable, but I think the personnel is a lot better. I think the schedule is very doable for the New Orleans Saints, and I'm very excited to be back in the booth, calling the games in Spanish. I am still doing those games, by the way. So I'm pumped up for the Saints, and I'm pumped up for the season as a whole. There's a lot of new faces and new places like they are every year, both in terms of key players, franchise players, and new head coaches in a lot of new places. And there's a good write-up on ESPN.com right now. Shout out to Dan Graziano, the national reporter there for ESPN. And he kind of talks about some of the most intriguing players in the league this year. And the list is kind of long, but I can give you maybe 5 of the names he has here. Tua Tagovailoa is on this list. Aaron Donald still on this list, 32 years old, still dominating, but I guess people still have questions about him. Aaron Rodgers, of course, is in New York. I'm positive Hard Knocks is going to be for the Jets this season. And then rounding out the list, you have Jonathan Taylor, Stephon Diggs, and Taylor's boy, Kyler Murray. Murray's really interesting, man. The video with the Arizona coach with the pew, pew, pew is really interesting, talking to Kyler Murray and to Ronald Moore. But this is somebody who Taylor, honestly, like, I understand you questioning his character. We talk all the time about kind of his bad body language. The clause in the contract with the video games was embarrassing. Like, that was humiliating, not just for Kyler Murray, but for the whole Cardinals franchise. But I think he is talented. I think if the new coach coming in from the Eagles is able to kind of get him on the right track here, this is somebody who is a very talented quarterback. And I think he's improved a little bit from the pocket throughout his career, but the injuries have also stunted his development a little bit left. But he signed a contract extension with Arizona. Some people's expectations are higher than others for Kyler Murray, but he definitely is an intriguing player coming into this season.
No, he is, and that was the right choice. I mean, because if you look at this list, I got some issues with it. It seems like a lot of times they were just like, let's just choose the best or most notable player from that team and make them the most intriguing. But you're right. I mean, you got Jonathan Gannon coming in. How is him and Kyler Murray going to mesh? Because as important as arm strength and pocket presence is, probably the most important thing is the relationship between a head coach and his QB and what kind of stability you have there. We'll have to see how that works out. How is he going to come back from that injury? I mean, a lot of people forget he's coming back from a season-ending knee injury. How's he going to play? A guy like that who is on the smaller side, he has to run around. He likes to get on the move a lot. He's going to take big hits from guys a lot bigger than him. How is he going to respond to that? You're right, he has improved a little bit, but honestly, Mario, shame on the Arizona Cardinals for taking the video game clause out of his contract. I think that was a dumb move. The only reason they did it is because they took flack from the media. And everybody's like, oh, you're making him look bad. If that wasn't an issue, it would not have been put in the contract to begin with. Let's just call a spade and call it like it is. Now, if he does show a little bit of growing up, maybe that'll help with the change of scenery. Kingsbury was a younger coach. You know, how did that kind of mesh together? Maybe Gannon can get the most out of him. But I think Kyler Murray has a lot to prove. He could play great and be like, oh, we made the right decision to give him all that money. He could play so badly that they look for a new QB next offseason. He could play somewhere in the middle where Arizona wants to move on, but another team wants to trade for him. I mean, I think there are endless possibilities for Kyler Murray, both good and bad this year.
It's really interesting, man. Like I said, this is the list of the most intriguing players. So we'll see how he does this season, but you definitely raised some good points there. And somebody who is more mature, even just physically, than Kyler Murray, also on this list. We mentioned him quickly there, and that's Aaron Rodgers, playing with the Jets for the first time. Clearly, time is just a flat circle because this is exactly what happened with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre back in the day, right? Rodgers takes over for Favre, just like Jordan Rodgers is about to take over for Aaron Rodgers. And now he's with the Jets. And the Jets, I think, have a lot better skill players than the Packers do. I think the formula is there for Aaron Rodgers to have success, but I don't think he's going to put up huge numbers. I think the formula for the Jets is to lean on their defense, which they hope is a little bit healthier this year, lean on that running game, and just let Aaron be efficient. I think he can have, in a best-case scenario, an MVP-type season, but I don't think he's going to put up, like, huge numbers like Brett Favre did with the Minnesota Vikings back in the day. So that's definitely a very intriguing a signing by the Jets there, and one of the most intriguing signings of the offseason, you could argue. And I think if the Jets stay healthy, Aaron Rodgers can have a big year. Maybe not an MVP year, but the best season Jets fans have experienced in a very long time.
Yeah, it's intriguing, but more so for how's he going to mesh with the Jets. I mean, at this point in Aaron Rodgers' career, he is what he is. We know who he is. I mean, you know, there's nothing that's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers that's going to surprise me, both the good or bad. I mean, he's a guy that has been great in the regular season, maybe underperformed just a tad in the playoffs towards the latter half of his career in Green Bay. So, again, I don't know how much more he puts them over the top. I think he will, but again, this is more for the Jets and not really for him as a player.
I'm with you. Shout out to Zachary in the chat correcting me. Jordan Love, not Jordan Rodgers. Jordan Rodgers is his brother who was on The Bachelor. His family hates him. Y'all know the deal. Jordan Love, who I think should be on this list for what it's worth, and I think will do good with Green Bay. But that's a conversation for another time. We got to hit a break here. Carter, the Power Bryant, host of Power Hour LSU, will join the show next. We'll talk a little LSU foosball, like many of you like to do. That's coming up on the other side. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I drove myself to the ER, had heart surgery, and drove myself home 24 hours later, feeling fine. Starting running again after the procedure, I'm getting excited thinking about it. I had no pain, nothing. I felt great. And right then and there, I was like, oh my God, I'm back. I'm back. It's just amazing.
Ochsner Health. Long live you.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
The best-kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Can help drive your ambitions as far as you want to take them. So go ahead, unlock your potential inside a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter.
For a test drive, visit Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge or mbobr.com.
At Lewis Mechanical, no plumbing job's too big or too small, and we have the best technicians around. Lewis Mechanical specializes in both commercial and residential plumbing repairs.
Lewis Mechanical, keeping plumbing humming.
After further review with Matt Moscona, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
121-126-74. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Hey, it's Hunt. Join me for a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We'll talk transfer portal for baseball. We'll talk the MLB draft. Probably some football list, too. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
We are officially in the month of July, holiday weekend technically. That means we're getting closer and closer to football season, baby. 62 days away from the season opener for LSU against Florida State. SEC Media Days will kick off 2 weeks from today. The vibes are good here in Baton Rouge. The expectations definitely there for the Tigers. They're thinking playoff. I think that's a reasonable expectation. And helping us break it all down is our first guest of the program, a regular guest here on OTB, at least when I host. And I'm talking about Carter, the Power Bryant. Let's go. Host of the Power Hour LSU on YouTube. Carter, thanks for answering my text. Thanks for coming on, my man. How are you?
Mario, I'm always here for you, my man. Last time I was on here, I was sitting next to you in the flesh, and I'll never forget it, man. Like, my soul was just crushed when some random person in your YouTube chat talked about my monobrow. And I was like, oh, my goodness. My wife tells me this all the time, that I need to get this thing shaved off, but I got it shaved off immediately. And it's not like an Anthony Davis monobrow, but it was like just like a few whiskers in there. And I was like, dang, these 104.5 cameras are really freaking good. Look, if you're looking at this image right now, I'm looking at it on the YouTube. See, there's no monobrow there, man. But that is just abso-freaking-lutely crazy that you have such sharp viewers that can see those things, man.
Yeah, man. Bayou 4 chat's always on it. Those guys pay attention, and they're a big part of the show, as you know. And as far as you being in studio, you got an open invitation anytime I host, man. We always have a lot of fun. As you know, you could talk college football here 365 days out of the year, and the audience will be with it. So I enjoyed that, too. You're welcome at any time. As far as this year's team, I was talking a little bit in the first hour there, Carter. I don't know if you heard it about how I wasn't as juiced up last season about LSU football just because of the situation with the Spanish broadcast, and it was tough for me to go back to, not doing the games every Saturday. But I am juiced up for this season, man. LSU had a great year one under Brian Kelly, and this team I think is championship caliber heading into year two. I don't know if I'm as optimistic as Brambo here in the Bayou 4 chat, who says JD5, 3,800 yards passing, 600 yards rushing, 40-plus total touchdowns. Brian Thomas breaks out. Mason Taylor dominates. Malik Neighbors balls out. Aaron Anderson is productive. John Emery runs wild. 14-1 national champs easy. Surprised he didn't just go 15-0 there, but are you sharing Brambo's optimism for LSU season?
Yeah, I mean, there's some holes, obviously, in the roster, but it's really deep pretty much all around. And, yeah, college football playoff, I think that is definitely in the realm of possibility for, this roster. Obviously, the big thing that I received just in DMs just from one spring game is the secondary. And my thing is, number one, don't overly panic about that position. Obviously, there was a lot of players playing their first games in Tiger Stadium, basically. And number two, I know I'm just kind of labeled as a college football guy, but I'm wondering if Trey Morgan or Dylan Cruz would be willing to try out on the secondary, man. But that pretty much is the one position group that I feel the secondary is one that concerns quite a few people. I do think that probably is one of the bigger question marks going into next year. But, Deuce Chestnut coming in from Syracuse has played a lot of football, Mario. This is a guy who also, one thing that I feel a lot of people don't know a whole lot about him is he actually did play Florida State last year with Syracuse. So he has, experience playing against big-time competition. He has experience like LSU playing against Florida State last year, which, like LSU, returns a lot of talent. So I think out of all the position groups, Mario, I don't know about you or anyone on OTB, that's the one that I've gotten the most questions about. But pretty much everywhere else, this just lines up to be a really good LSU roster. You have obviously some really good role players that have already proven that could be big-time SEC players. And then you obviously have guys that are of the superstar realm, guys like Malik Neighbors, guys like Harold Perkins, and, of course, Jaden Daniels. And, to take it one step further, will you see guys that were really good players, Mario, take that next step as just a player to where they become a superstar? And I think the one guy that has kind of flown under the radar for me is Bryant Thomas Jr. And I don't think I have ever seen a player that's been more unlucky with penalties where he draws a pass interference, and if he doesn't get pass interfered, he catches a touchdown. He's a guy that's made a lot of acrobatic catches where, his toe was barely out of bounds. I think some positive regression is coming his way, and I expect an absolutely massive season for number 11.
Yeah, I'm pumped to watch Brian Thomas as well. Really, all the receivers. Malik Neighbors had a great season last year, too. Maybe he gets a few more touchdown receptions this year. But, man, that group for the last several years has been incredibly deep. And speaking of continuity, Carter, we were talking in the first hour with Taylor about both coordinators coming back for LSU. It's the first time since 2019 that both the OC and the DC are back. I was impressed with Mike Denbrock. I was really impressed with Matt House. How do you think those guys can build off of what they did their first season at LSU?
Yeah, I think the big thing specifically is the explosive play battle, where LSU last year struggled to create those big chunk plays that we normally see from the college football playoff level teams. And look, they did hit explosives every now and then. And overall, Mario, on a play-to-play efficiency, LSU's offense was pretty solid. They did a good job avoiding turnovers. They did a good job with 3-and-out percentage. They rarely were 3-and-outed. And overall, they were a good third down team. The next step, though, was for them to be more elite versus the better teams on their schedule. There was just large pockets of space where LSU's offense really struggled, especially considering, coming right out of the gate, they had a lot of struggles starting games. But I think that's going to be a lot better going into next year. And I'm not one, obviously LSU is my favorite team on the planet, but I'm not one to just sunshine pump. I really do believe this offense, throwing the football down the field, will be better. And it's important to really specifically listen to some of the things that Mike Denbrock has said, some of the things that Jaden Daniels has said. I think a lot of people just want more deep passing. Well, that's very hard, Mario, when DBs play off of LSU. They did that quite a bit last year, giving BTJ in particular 6, 7, 8-yard cushions. One thing I think LSU is going to be a lot better doing this next year is throwing the football to where guys can make plays after the catch. And I think that's going to be one area where LSU is really going to look to improve next year, which whether that be screens, tight end slips, slants thrown on the money, whatever the case may be, expect a more explosive intermediate game while allowing your playmakers to do some special things after they get the football in their hands.
Well said. I trust Brian Kelly to lead and execute all of that. Carter the Power Bryant is our guest here on OTB. We're talking some LSU football. And as far as the defense goes, you got some key guys coming back. Obviously, everybody's excited about Harold Perkins, but Mason Smith is someone who was really hyped up as a recruit, rightfully so. Every time we've seen him touch the field with LSU, I think he's been pretty dominant, even since being a freshman. Some people in the chat, I think fairly so, have been saying he's been a little injury prone throughout his time at LSU, but when he's on the field, he is dominant. And like I said, if you put him out there consistently with this group, with Harold Perkins coming off the edge, this can be a really scary group. That being said, how excited are you to watch Mason Smith this season?
Yeah, I've gotten to know someone pretty close to Mason recently over this past year, and everyone in his just orbit is so excited to get him back on the field. I understand the injury-prone thing, Mario. I totally get it. But keep in mind, the injury happened on a turf field where he was, just celebrating. It was a non-contact injury. I get it. But those things tend to happen a little bit more often than people give it, credit, I guess you could say. I think that injury isn't something you need to worry about too much, even though it is an ACL on a rather large human being. I do think he's going to be fully healthy and ready to go next year. And like you said, when he was healthy, he was a really, really good football player for LSU. And then it also helps that Mason Smith is playing alongside Mekhi Wingo, a guy that got some All-SEC love last year, a guy that got some All-American love last year. The next step, Mario, for this group of defensive linemen is going to be who will step up behind those two players. Obviously, Jacobian Guillory is one of the leaders of this group. He was very important during that period where Jamar Cain transitioned to the Denver Broncos. And obviously, they expect some big things out of Jacobian going into this next year. And I think he will be a very solid rotational defensive lineman. Think of Marlon Favorite type of player. And then, when you go a little bit deeper than that, there's Jordan Jefferson. Yes, the transfer defensive tackle out of West Virginia. Can he give you some really good snaps? And then it even goes deeper than that, right? What about Jalen Lee, a transfer coming over from Florida? Can he do that? What about Paris Shand, somebody else who could play some of the snaps that are played by Savion Jones next year as the opposite end of the jack in Matt House's system? So it's going to need to be more than those two. And obviously Brian Kelly has emphasized last year, you could see it, just watching the A&M and Georgia game. They got tired. They got very, very tired because their snap counts just got way too high at the end of last year.
Yeah, you'll have a much deeper rotation hopefully this year, and that was apparent. I remember Charles Hannegriff making that comment when he came back from the SEC title game that Georgia was able to make like hockey substitutions and basically sub out their entire D-line. LSU just didn't have the numbers to do that, so hopefully that's different this season. Before we let you go, Carter, I wanted to get your early thoughts on the matchup against FSU. That was one of the craziest games I've ever attended, to be honest with you. I mean, the muffed punts, the fumbles on the goal line. Jordan Travis, great quarterback, but I thought LSU really struggled to tackle him in that game. They got to do a better job of wrapping him up and actually getting him on the grass. But what are your early thoughts on that matchup against the Seminoles, a matchup that should be like a top 10 game?
Yeah, when you look at the rosters, obviously in that game, and I think a lot of LSU fans saw that the week 0 advantage for Florida State last year was so huge. Not so much for Florida State getting their legs under them. It was more so LSU, right? Especially after the Mason Smith injury happened in that first quarter, the first drive of the game, basically. That game, LSU did not have their absolute best players on the field. And look, Florida State played a really solid game. In particular, Jordan Travis was absolutely amazing. He threw dimes, even got Sleepy Hollowed on a very crazy hit from Ollie Gay, and he still continued to put the football on the money. And there were some throws that he made in that game, Mario. You can't really do anything about it. It was just really, really good throws. But the simple truth is this. If Emory Jones is playing that game, the pass protection is at least slightly better. If Harold Perkins is playing that game, the game is slightly better. And the truth, well, actually, I would say it's a lot better for LSU's defense. They struggled to get off the field on third down, and the offensive line just wasn't set, right? The center changed within a 3-week period. The right tackle changed within a 3-week period. One of the offensive guards changed within a 3-week period. So even though Florida State's roster, I feel, Mario, actually got better, while LSU was killed in the portal, Florida State has definitely killed it in the portal with some Louisiana guys on top of that. yes, their roster is better, but I think LSU has gotten better since that game. So I know a lot of LSU fans are waiting for that season opener. This is going to have that Oregon 2011 feel. I think you remember that game, Mario.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2 top 10 teams. And, of course, that was, basically the origin of Tyrann Mathieu' amazing 2011 season. Hopefully that'll be the origin of some other Heisman campaigns in Orlando.
Yeah, that was a fun night. That was a fun trip to Dallas. Hopefully it's the same for the LSU fans that are going to Orlando this season. Carter, always appreciate the time. Great insight as always, man. Hope you have a very happy 4th of July weekend, and I hope to be talking to you again soon, my friend.
Let's go, Mario. I'm loving the energy in the chat, and I'm liking you this morning, man. You gave me a good let's go before I got on here. I was like, God, I got to get on your level, man. Give me a good let's go. Give it to me.
Let's go. That's
Let's
my best,
go.
Carter. Thanks, man.
All right, buddy, we'll talk.
Like I said, I'm very juiced up, so appreciate you coming on. Have a good one, my man.
You too, man. Cheers.
Cheers. Always enjoy talking to Carter. Love that guy. Very passionate, very meticulous in what he does. Go give him a follow on Twitter. Go check out his show. We'll come back on the other side of this break. Short segment to wrap up hour number 2. This is Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Go to All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com, All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. I love my Toyota Sienna minivan. I was very pleased to see that a classmate's parent is now rolling around in a badass-looking black minivan. Way better than mine, actually. Jake, that could be you, okay? The time to act is now. Get that new 23 Sienna. Ask Jake about it. We rented it from All-Star, which, coincidentally, great place to rent vehicles, cheaper per day rental price than your traditional rental companies. But we rented that Sienna and took it to Mobile. I mean, that thing drives, it glides, really, is what it does. It feels like a spaceship. It's the best. But, maybe you want a Tundra, Tacoma, whatever it is. It's all there for you off of Airline Highway at All-Star Toyota.
Yeah, a lot of different options and new pre-owned rentals like T-Bob's talking about, leasing. I mean, they've got so many different options. The full fleet is available in leasing and renting. Check it out online. You'll see the 4Runner, the Highlander, the Sequoia, everything there. All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day.
It's Matt Moscona wishing everyone a happy and safe 4th of July weekend. We are working Monday. So we'll see you here from 3 to 6 for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Have a great 4th of July, and we'll see you Monday on AFR.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Go to RejuveMeMedical.com. Restore me, refuel me, rejuve me. Okay? You want to feel younger, better, stronger. You want to throw 95. Well, I don't know if Rejuve can help you with the last part. But they can help you feel better, okay? And they're going to do it by drawing your labs and using your body, right, and the information therein as the guide to creating the comprehensive plan. So maybe HRT is for you, maybe it's not, okay? Ask about the metabolization optimization when you go in. Locations now in Metairie, Slidell, Shreveport, and right here in Baton Rouge, RejuveMeMedical.com.
Go to the website that T-Bob just gave you there. You can find a full list of conditions they can treat for you, so many different things that possibly could be going on with you. But you can't get to the bottom of it if you don't get the consultation on the website set up. It's right there in the top right corner. He mentioned 4 locations. That number in Baton Rouge, 225-719-4571.
You know, one of my favorite parts about hosting is the lives. Like, I was talking about it with Taylor. Like, Hester and T-Bob take their sweet-ass time sometimes finding the live sheet and actually doing the advertisement. But I know the advertisers still appreciate it, and it's hilarious. I always enjoy the lives every single time that I host. So that was fun to hear. We don't have very much time in this segment. That's my bad. Again, keeping in tradition with the show. But really enjoyed the first couple of hours. Shout out to Carter, the Power Bryant, for coming on and talking some LSU football. Going to have some fun in the third hour as well. Hold the Mayo. We'll be on at 9:15 for our weekly spread lines. We'll wrap up the show with Ask the Bench at the very end, and maybe we'll talk some sports in between. We'll see. Third hour is always all over the place. Stick around, though. We'll be here till 10 a.m. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
I want to remind you to go to Patient Plus, Patient Plus Urgent Care, PatientPlusUC.com. I love Patient Plus. We talked about texting Rube about basketball earlier, but when he's not doing basketball, he's helped to grow Patient Plus all throughout the city. But the reason why you grow in the way that they have is because your customers are really satisfied. And like I'm telling you, you walk into Patient Plus and you're going to see, okay, this is different than the urgent cares I'm used to going to, which can feel a little dingy, a little poorly lit, like just a little low quality at times. The complete polar opposite with Patient Plus. So PatientPlusUC.com, you can set up appointments online, make that digital profile at the touch of a button to sign in.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special. Grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. Let me go!
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, Peter said I gotta come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
What's up, people? This is hour number 3 of Off the Bench. In case you haven't realized it by now, I'm on the other side of the room today. Mario Jerez filling in for T-Bob and Jake. They're taking a vacation day. We'll all take a vacation day tomorrow, but we are here with you for one more hour. Mario Jerez, Casey Gaines on the audio board, Taylor Sharp on the video board, also kind of co-hosting here today. Really enjoyed the first 2 hours of the show. Shout out to Taylor Swift, who made a big appearance in our weekend winners. Taylor is going to post some of that stuff to our social media. Catch my Taylor Swift analogy if you didn't in the first hour there. Also, shout out to Carter the Power Bryant coming on, giving us some really good insight about LSU football. You can really feel the excitement in the air for LSU, which is refreshing. Like, it feels like the first time since 2019 that there's just like almost kind of blind optimism, or maybe that's not a good way to put it, blind, but there's a lot of faith in the team going into the season that hasn't really been there since the championship year back in 19. So really enjoy talking LSU football throughout the show here today, and with Carter at 8:30. We have one more guest coming up at 9:15, and that will be Hold the Mayo for our weekly spread lines. Always enjoy that conversation as well, even when I'm just trying to connect to Hold the Mayo Zoom there. That's my boy. Looking forward to talking to him in a little bit. But as far as kicking off this hour and the topic here, we've been talking a lot about LSU football, and throughout the show, we've kind of been talking about Brian Kelly and whether he's under any, I'm using air quotes here, pressure to win big in his second year. That's kind of been the narrative for some people, right? Kim Mulkey, second year, national championship. Jay Johnson, second year, national championship. Brian Kelly, who arguably had a better first year than both of those coaches, is definitely going to have a lot of expectations to maybe not win the championship this season, but to build off of what LSU did last year. Like, Taylor, I think it's fair to say that if LSU doesn't at least, win the division again and maybe challenge to win the SEC championship a little bit more than last season, it will kind of be considered a disappointing season, even though it's just Kelly's second year.
Yeah, Will, and it's kind of like a positive and a negative. It's like, oh, Kelly exceeded expectations so much in year one. It's like, okay, but now you got to give us a little bit more in year two. But as far as Would it be, is he under pressure to win in year 2? I don't think so. Not any more than he was when he took this job. I mean, you've heard Brian Kelly say, I took this job because I wanted to come win national championships. That's the standard at LSU. That's my standard. I mean, he puts that kind of pressure on himself. That's something that he's done since day one of the job. I don't think this adds any more pressure, but if you don't start seeing something by year 3 or 4, because you go look back at it, you go look at Ed Orgeron, Nick Saban, Les Miles, year 3, that was their sweet spot. That was the honey hole, if you will. They all took home a national title in their 3rd year in Baton Rouge. So if you don't get it done by year 3 or 4, and now you're kind of starting to talk about, the pressure starting to build a little bit. But as far as year 2, no, I'm with you. But you do have to at least grab that division title or at least compete for it in year 2. You can't take a step back, which is going to be a little bit hard to do. But no, I don't think you have to absolutely win it all in year 2 for pressure to be on Brian Kelly, not any more so than there already is.
Yeah, like I said, maybe pressure, not the word there, but I have seen that. I've seen a lot of people
I have too.
Kind of saying that, and I think it's fair to have the conversation. Then he did it to himself. And to your point, Taylor, Scott Woodward, athletic director of LSU, was in this very studio last week, sitting in that spot over there, about 3 feet from me. And he was talking about what we're talking about right now, and he said Brian Kelly welcomes that. He relishes it. He's happy the coaches of the other programs are doing well. That's the expectation he has for himself. Like we were talking about with Jay Johnson, Brian Kelly never had to leave Notre Dame. Maybe the year would have come where he would have had, a really good quarterback or a really good D end, and they actually compete in those games and don't just get destroyed the way they did by Alabama more than once. But Brian Kelly wants to be in this situation, right? And honestly, I have a lot of faith in him. We talked about the hire when it happened, Brian Kelly taking the LSU job, and I was a little bit more hesitant, I guess, than Jake and T-Bob were. This is somebody who has been a great coach, but hasn't coached in this conference before. And this is a place where the last 3 coaches have all won rings, right? Like, the expectations are here. And Brian Kelly, year 1, honestly, maybe not for all of you. A lot of you were more optimistic about the hire, but he definitely did exceed my expectations. And I was talking about this with Brian Haldane in the hallway the other day. Shout out to Brain, does a really good job downstairs with his talk show every morning. But Brian Kelly coming in, his specialty was supposed to be tight ends, right? He sent a lot of good tight ends to the NFL. Rudolph, arguably the best tight end in the history of the game in Travis Kelce, got coached by Brian Kelly over there at Cincinnati. And from the start, his very first season, he defeats Alabama in Tiger Stadium for the first time since 2010. And there's a lot of reasons why LSU won that game, right? I don't want to say this one reason that I'm about to get into is why LSU won, but he utilized his tight ends that game. Mason Taylor had a huge performance, not just the last play on the 2-point conversion to win the game, but the penultimate drive for LSU, I believe it was, when he caught the touchdown about 8 yards deep in the end zone. Like, to do that kind of work with a freshman tight end, even though he is the son of a Hall of Famer, I'm a big fan of Jason Taylor, that was really impressive. That shows me that Brian Kelly knows what the hell he's doing as a head coach, beating Nick Saban and doing it in that manner. That made me respect Brian Kelly a lot more than I already did. And it's funny to think back to that moment, Taylor, because LSU in the overtime, they could have tried to score one more time before they got there, right? In regulation. And I had a lot of text messages on my phone like, Brian Kelly's a coward. What are we doing here? They weren't calling him a coward when LSU scored a touchdown and then converted the 2-point conversion to win the game. So that to me was kind of a transcendent moment for Brian Kelly. And I'm optimistic he could build on it here in year 2.
No, it was a gutsy play call, but honestly, and I know hindsight's 2020. You can all say, "Oh, well, Taylor, you didn't know that was going to happen at the time." I would have went for 2 against Florida State. You already had 2 kicks blocked. I would have ran that exact play as well. I mean, you get your best athlete on the run. You kind of put that linebacker in a 2-on-1 fast break, if you will, Mario, for you since you're a basketball guy. Kind of, if you come up to play Jaden Daniels to stop him to run, he's going to dump it right over your head to the tight end. He plays back too far. Daniels will beat you to the edge with his speed. I mean, it was the perfect play call. And, yeah, you could have went for it. You could have went for the tie to go play another overtime. But if you got the perfect play call and you know it's going to work, why are you delaying the victory? Go for it right now. You knew you're going to get it, and ultimately it worked out for him.
Yeah, it did. And coming in, I was a little worried that maybe he's somewhat egotistical. It's going to be his way or the highway, and that's going to, force some heads to butt. But from the start, he made some really tough decisions that ended up working really well. I don't know if I should be as critical of the strength staff. They let Moffitt go. A lot of people were really upset about that. And Corey Raymond as well, somebody who had been here forever, the advent of DBU and all that stuff. People weren't really happy with those moves at first, but I would say they worked out pretty well. And now people trust Brian Kelly to make those decisions maybe a little bit more than they did this time last year. And he also let go of the first guy he hired here, right? His really good friend in Brian Polian. The special teams wasn't up to par. And I know he could have kept the job in kind of like an administrative role, I think it was. He wasn't going to be the special teams coach anymore, but he goes and becomes a head coach of a small school, his alma mater, and I'm sure that was another tough decision that Brian Kelly had to make. That shows me that much like I give Coach O a lot of credit for when he had success here, Brian Kelly's not afraid to kind of go out of his comfort zone, trust other people that he thinks know certain things better than he does. So Brian Kelly showing really a lack of ego, at least in my opinion, in his first season here.
Yeah, no, it was great. And you mentioned those three coaching moves. They were all tough decisions. In my opinion, they were all moves that really needed to be made. And, I know we love Moffitt. Everybody loved Corey Raymond. I think those moves needed to be made, and they were tough decisions. But, look, that's what you get paid for. You get paid to come in and make tough decisions. Me and you don't have to make those decisions. We're not the head coach at LSU. You make that decision hoping it works out. You'll take the criticism and the blowback if it doesn't, but so far, Kelly nailed it, and I'm looking forward to see what he can do in year 2.
Also, he's been pretty strict with John Emery, too. I'll give him a lot of credit for that. I think John Emery is – I know there's varying opinions from him, but he's the most electric player they have coming out of that backfield. And Brian Kelly is not secretive. He's been very transparent that he has to do better academically before we can even talk about football. And I really respect that as a head coach, because you're trying to – yes, obviously you're trying to help the kid, not just make him a better player, but also a better person. But you're also having confidence in your coaching and the guys that are behind him that maybe aren't as dynamic. And some of y'all may argue, bring up Josh Williams and others. And I know they just got a transfer running back as well. But I think he's handled the John Emery situation really well, has Brian Kelly. So I'll give him props for that as well, Taylor.
No, he really has. And you just mentioned it about a Josh Williams, a Logan Diggs you're bringing in from Notre Dame. Kelly's shown right now, I'm not playing favorites based on what you did in high school, based on what your ranking was when you were coming out and when you got here to LSU. I'm judging you by the player you are right now and how I think you can contribute to this team. If you can't do your work in the classroom or whatever you're dealing with off the field, then you're not going to play for me. I got guys that'll step up and play. I got a Josh Williams. I got a Logan Diggs. He's showing that, hey, look, I got to be a little tough on you because I know that you're the athlete that you are. But at the same time, I can't put you in there to the detriment of the rest of the team.
Well said. Brian Kelly's got the juice right now, and I don't think he's under pressure, quote unquote, but he's relishing the expectations that are there for him, and they are definitely there. Winning the division in his first season at LSU, maybe hoping to win the conference or make the playoffs here in his second season. So very excited for LSU football to get off and popping. First game is in 62 days against Florida State and SEC Media Days 2 weeks from today in Nashville, I believe, this year, right?
That is correct.
Nashville, cool city. You should visit, especially if you're going to a sporting event. I know Taylor's nodding his head in approval. Let's get to Hold the Mayo in the other segment here, our weekly spread lines. Lots to talk about with our guy, Devin. That's coming up on the other side of this break. This is Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB, OT.
CentralPlumbing.org, 925-8552. 925-8552 is the number. Once you go to Central Plumbing today and plummet. Well, you could
listen. You don't plummet. Call Central Plumbing.
If you want to plumb yourself, you can get the parts at the Central Plumbing showroom. It's right there on the commercial. It says Central Plumbing, plumb it yourself. Chances are, though, like we always talk about, that's like really hard, and you're going to make things worse. So don't. Call Central Plumbing, flat rate pricing, licensed, non-insured, great warranty coverage. Get your problems fixed, 24/7 emergency service.
Yeah, like so. If you're a professional, you can pick up your plumbing supplies there, as you see in the video there. But I would not encourage you to plummet. That's what Central Plumbing is for. Hang in there. 225-925-8552. That is the number. That is 24/7. But we always tell you, centralplumbing.org is where you can find all the information on bathroom remodels. That's home or your business. You can find the information about the tankless water heaters we tell you about. Just scroll down on the water heater section. Never run out of hot water. Again, that is a big benefit for a big family. centralplumbing.org.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down to my last dime. Come home, live Baton Rouge. Operator, what you put me on through? Gotta send my love down to
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
The best.
Live at lunch, taking a few days off for the 4th of July. We'll be back on July 5th, Wednesday, from Mike Anderson Seafood, just off of Nicholson. It's Live at Lunch, live from Mike Anderson's, Wednesday, July 5th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB OT with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
Very excited for our final guest at today's program, weekly spot here on OTB. Time for some spread lines with our guy Hold the Mayo, Devin Snow. To be honest with you, man, there are times where I almost call you Eric Snow. I don't know why my brain goes there, but I've never done it on the air, so I'm proud of myself.
Trust me, bro. One thing about being a Snow, you know all the Snows that kind of almost made, or, you know, were famous, and Eric Snow is one of them, bro.
Yes, Cavalier legend.
And Sixer, bro. He was on that squad with Allen Iverson.
He was. I remember. I'm happy you mentioned that. I remember him actually making a dagger shot against the Hornets in like the 0-2 playoffs when they were still in the East. So, yeah, shout out to your distant cousin there. And thanks for coming on. Like I said, we got a lot to get into today, Devin. You sent me your weekly spread lines as you normally do. But before anything, I wanted to ask you about what the hell is going on Twitter, man. I was trying to get on Twitter at times over the weekend. I wasn't able to. I know it has something to do with Elon Musk trying to limit the amount of daily posts you can see. And before you answer, I'll preface with saying that I feel like Elon got a lot of hate at first, and a lot of it had to do with his politics. There are only a couple of things that he's done that have really upset me. The first was having the For You tab versus the Following tab, but that's a pretty easy fix, right? Just make sure you're on the Following tab every single time. But this rate limit thing makes no sense to me, man. What gives?
Well, okay, so I think the thing about Elon is, and I'm still learning too, bro. So when I woke up, I wake up at 6 in the morning every day. And so I'm on Twitter, at 6:05. And I was rate limited, by the time 8 a.m. Rolled around. So yeah, I was like, dude, what's going on? And then you saw the tweet, Elon's he thinks he's funny. I'm not saying he's not, but he's got this like wealthy guy. I don't really care about anything.
Little cringe.
Wittiness to him. And, I think that's majority of what happened, because I don't know if you noticed, Twitter's kind of back to normal. At least it is for me. But I think what just happened was they had a mess up. I don't know, man. I don't know the technicalities of running Twitter, but there was something big that happened, and he kind of just used that as a joke to get everybody riled up, while they were waiting the 24, 48 hours for it to come back.
Yeah, a lot of people were really upset, and hopefully it's something that's just temporary, but I think that was a pretty good breakdown there. And this is a good segue, actually, Hold the Mayo, because I learned about you on Twitter, right? You have a very good Twitter presence. You've grown your brand there. But I've always known you as Hold the Mayo, even before I knew you were Devin Snow. But I never knew why that's your name. Do you not like mayonnaise? And that's huge for you because you build your whole brand around the HTM thing. So how did the Hold the Mayo moniker even come to be?
So, all right. So this goes back to June of 2019. So that's when I started my company, Hold the Mayo. And I've never liked mayo, man. I had a situation that happened in like the late 90s when I was in elementary school, and I just had a bad experience with mayo. I thought it was vanilla pudding, ate a scoop of it, threw up in front of this girl that I had a crush on, and like that just scarred me for life. I don't eat mayo, I don't eat fettuccine, I don't eat sour cream, nothing. But also the name Hold the Mayo is just man, you see it, you want to know what's going on, whether you like me, hate me, or you're in the middle. If you see the name Hold the Mayo, you're probably going to say it, A. B, you're going to want to know what's going on. So, and I think that's worked, it still works today. So I love it.
Hold up, pause. I need to know more about this story with the girl. I'm sorry to bring up past trauma for you if I'm doing that, but how old were you? Was this at a dance? Was this a private situation, which would make it really awkward? Like, how old were you? Tell me a little bit more about that story.
Okay, so I was young. I was 5, and I was at Mayo Elementary in St. Bernard Parish, and it was just a normal day at lunch. But the key to this whole story is that they tricked me. So usually you'll see mayo in a smaller condiment cup. Y'all picturing the cups I'm talking about in the cafeteria where you push it in and it's in a smaller cup. Well, this time the mayo was in a pudding cup. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was a bigger cup. So it was a trick, bro. And I had just had vanilla pudding not like a couple days before. I remember it like yesterday. And yeah, it just scarred me, bro. And it's just, I never liked mayo after that. I ate it before that.
Yeah, that's pretty traumatic. I can see how that would be. I love mayo for what it's worth. We definitely disagree there, but I definitely respect that. And I definitely didn't have an experience like that with it. So that's cool. I'm glad we finally got to learn that. You've been coming on the show for however long, and I didn't even know. Before we get to your spread lines here, I did want to talk a little bit of sports with you, Devin. I know you're in tune with NBA free agency and everything that's going on. We could get into some general talk, Damian Lillard, all that stuff. But Cody Zeller coming to the Pelicans. Finals, literally inevitable, right? But
yeah. And I love the move. And I also, unless we go and get somebody, like Damian Lillard or something like that, something crazy happens, I think that kind of solidifies that Jonas is going to be back, baby.
Yes.
Like,
hell yeah.
Let's go, bro. Never understood the Jonas slander. I never did, because, if you look back on just last season, bro, Jonas had some very impactful games. Yes, he has some games where, like, you got to sub in Larry Nance because it's a speed thing, or he's got to come up to the top and guard a guy that's a stretch. But, when you got to play as a big man, and you play in traditional center, Jonas is one of the best in the league.
I'm with you. I'm so glad you brought that up, man, because so many guests that come on this station are kind of pushing that narrative, and I understand the logic. Like, people look at numbers. The Pelicans have the worst rim protection in the league, and that's Jonas's biggest weakness, so it's very easy to blame him. But I agree with you. How about the first 3 quarters, man? It's not like 14 points and 10 rebounds per game just grows on trees. And also just his presence. He's one of the few veteran leaders that actually, gets in guys' faces when things are getting, intense out there. I love that take, and I love Jonas Valanciunas. I really hope the Pelicans do not trade him. If they were to trade him, the only way I'd be okay with it is if they got like an all-star caliber player, like a Jarrett Allen, who does the rim protection as his specialty. But other than that, I think it's going to be hard to upgrade from Jonas Valanciunas, and I'm with you. I hope he stays on the Pelicans, man.
Yeah, and it's just like, dude, when Jonas is a player, man, we don't have a lot of players like this on the team, right? So when Jonas gets going, bro, he could go for 30 and 25. Like he is like that. So that's why I'm not quick to say, move Jonas. Let's move Jonas. He's a piece. I don't like that.
I'm with you. Before we move on, anything else really catch your eye in the first couple days of NBA free agency? Damian Lillard seems to be the big story. The Lakers probably getting too much hype for their moves. Real quick, anything that really caught your attention?
Yeah. I mean, getting Zeller and moving on from Jackson Hayes, you want to talk about a move being made. That's a move that I'm cool with being made, because Jackson Hayes, look, I'm not writing off his career, anything like that. He looks like he's about to go off every time you see him, right? But it wasn't going to happen as a Pelican. And we know that. We saw it. We saw it enough. We tried it enough. We tried it in different ways. Jackson Hayes, see you later. You knew he'd end up in Los Angeles. I mean, come on, bro. You remember the incident he had in Los Angeles? I mean, it felt like he wanted to be in Los Angeles for a long time. Yeah,
the coaching staff definitely, I think, kind of gave up on him. And I think the talent's there, but from what I can see, definitely needs to grow up a little bit. We'll see if LA is an environment conducive to Jackson Hayes doing that. But I'm pumped up for the basketball season, just like I'm pumped up for the football season, but we're still kind of a long ways away, right? Still in July, but we get to enjoy the festivities this weekend at least. And before we get to your spread lines, I wanted to ask what the 4th of July really means to Holden Mayo, to Devin, if anything. Do you normally do anything to really celebrate the occasion? Do you have any big plans to celebrate our independence in the next few days?
This year, I mean, I'm just going to be honest. This year, probably not, because it's happening on a Tuesday. And I just have so much going on. I'm trying to get this show ready for August. That's why it's kind of empty behind me, because I'm moving around a lot of stuff right now. So I'd say this year, no. But, love the holiday, love, what it stands for and everything like that. I just think on a Tuesday, it's going to be tough for me. This is almost like my celebration today on Monday, for the whole cause.
Fair enough. I know you're moving around a lot. We will get into RB and R Day and where you're going today. But before we do that, talk to me about this ship, man. I said ship, SHIP, T-Bob, Hester. I know they'd mess with me about that if they were here. But Royal Caribbean Internationals, Icon of the Seas, will debut in 2024. Promises more than 40 ways to dine, drink, and be entertained. And the capacity on this ship looks obnoxious. Like right off the bat, I know a lot of people are going to say this gives Titanic vibes, but the 2023 version. Tell me about the Icon of the Seas.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a picture pulled up or not of it, but yeah, it's a very yes, you gotta, because the way that they are describing it is as the biggest cruise ship ever. So whenever you hear that, it's like, oh man, I know it's been 112 years or whatever since the Titanic sank, but it's still bad timing, So, but anyway, with that being said, bro, if like somebody offered me a ticket to go on that ship for its first, whatever, dude, I'd do it. I'm telling you, bro. It's not like we going down to the Titanic. We staying above water in 2023. Hopefully a lifeboat. I don't know, bro. I'm 31 and I'm a dude, so maybe I wouldn't get on the lifeboat. So, but yeah, I'd probably do it.
Are you a big cruise guy in general? Like, is that something you normally do? Like, I think cruises offer excellent value. Like, I'm honestly not a big fan of being around so many people in public. I don't know. People are swimming. It can be a little gross, but the value is there. Like, I took a week-long trip, spent not that much money, in my opinion, even in my budget, which is saying something, right? And got to go to Mexico, got to do a lot of cool stuff. I've always really enjoyed cruises, but do you even like cruises like that, to even explore going on a ship like this?
I mean, dude, I've been on a Disney cruise before. Okay. It was cool. I was a kid. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't been on a cruise since I've been grown and kind of, my brain's matured to where I could kind of evaluate what's going on. But I get the vibe that cruises are pretty much like casinos. They look really nice. When you walk in, a bunch of nice features, but there's always a kick. There's always a kick with a really outstanding deal. I don't know what that kick's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? You might find a finger in your food or something. I don't know, but like it's just always a kick when it's a really good bargain like that. But I was looking at the cruise ship just now, man. It looks. I tell you what, man. It just looks like something that could have an electronic issue at one point. You got it. I mean, come on, bro. Look at all the lights.
Yeah, that's a lot of potential for something to go wrong in the fuse box there. I'm with you. That's a really colorful ship. I'm curious to see if anybody I know goes on it. But yeah, looks nice. I don't know if I would go on it. We'll see. Not a big cruise guy, like I said, although they do offer pretty good value. Hey, Devin, where are you going for RB&R day today?
So I'm gonna be honest, I don't know yet. And that's the beautiful thing about this whole thing. I film it the day of, I edit it, and I release it the day of. So there's a lot of times where, I just kind of run into it. And I think that's when I make the best content. But as of right now, I don't know. It'll probably be somewhere on the South Shore. I see somebody in the chat, favorite red beans on the North Shore. I haven't been to the North Shore yet, but it is coming. So, and definitely tune into that because that is going to be something else.
I will.
It's going to be something else. But I'm thinking somewhere on the West Bank maybe today.
Okay, looking forward to it, man. Thanks for coming on. As always enjoy your presence on the show. Always enjoy getting to do the interview. And I'm really happy I know where Hold the Mayo came from now. Thank you for doing that.
That was a good thing to ask, Mario. Because it's a detailed story, my brother. Y'all take care.
All right, you too, Devin. Tell cousin Eric I said hello. There he goes, Devin Snow. Hold the Mayo, weekly guest every Monday here on Off the Bench. We'll take a break. We'll find something sportsy to talk about in the next segment. We'll wrap up the show with Ask the Bench in the last segment of the program. This is OTB, Mario Jerez, Casey Gaines, and Taylor Sharp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB, OT.
Go to All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com, All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. I love my Toyota Sienna minivan. I was very pleased to see that a classmate's parent is now rolling around in a badass-looking black minivan. Way better than mine, actually. Jake, that could be you, okay? The time to act is now. Get that new 23 Sienna. Ask Jake about it. We rented it from All-Star, which, coincidentally, great place to rent vehicles, cheaper per day rental price than your traditional rental companies. But we rented that Sienna and took it to Mobile. I mean, that thing it glides, really, is what it does. It feels like a spaceship. It's the best. But, maybe you want a Tundra, Tacoma, whatever it is. It's all there for you off of Airline Highway at All-Star Toyota.
Yeah, a lot of different options and new pre-owned rentals like T-Bob's talking about, leasing. I mean, they've got so many different options. The full fleet is available in leasing and renting. Check it out online. You'll see the 4Runner, the Highlander, the Sequoia, everything there. All-Star Toyota of BatonRouge.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Turn my music high, 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 high. Yeah. You don't know what you're doing. Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you could run the slalom. The cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. Where personalities clash and chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like this Wall Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
It's Hunt. Join me for a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We'll talk transfer portal for baseball. We'll talk the MLB draft. Probably some football list, too. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hang on to a dream. On the boats and on the planes, they're coming to America, never looking back again.
OTB, OT, with Hester and T-Bob on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
Shout out Casey Gaines playing the tunes today. Hashtag America. I love the music choices so far, Casey. He's filling in for me today in my normal spot. I'm filling in for T-Bob and Jake. Those guys will be back on Wednesday. Hope they're having a good 4th of July weekend. Hope Jake is, getting used to being a father of Harlow. I know he's used to being a father in general, but I've heard those first couple of weeks are always kind of rough. So shout out to Jake and his family and T-Bob and Lil Bobby as well. Hopefully they're having a great time today, and they have in the last few days. We will wrap up the show with Ask the Bench in the next segment. I wanted to do something sportsy here. And in the first hour, we were talking about this article up at ESPN that Dan Graziano wrote and talking about some intriguing players coming into the NFL season. We spoke at length a little bit. You can go back and listen on YouTube or on demand. We talked about Kyler Murray coming off an injury with a new head coach. We talked about Aaron Rodgers now in New York with, I think, better personnel than he had with the Packers. But somebody else who's second on this list is Stephon Diggs, wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills. And Taylor, I think Diggs has been somewhat of a polarizing figure, right? This is the guy that broke all of our hearts, or my heart, I guess I should say. I'm the only Saints fan in the room, with the Minnesota Miracle. And he's had some really good rapport with Josh Allen the last couple seasons, but he's also had some kind of like blow-ups and some moments that lend you to believe maybe he doesn't trust his quarterback all the way. This is somebody who's been one of the more talented receivers in the league as long as he's been in the NFL, but maybe some cracks in the chemistry there in Buffalo. What you think, Taylor?
Yeah, but I got to be honest. I don't like him on this list. I will disagree with Dan Graziano a lot on this one. We know what Stephon Diggs is. I don't think this little offseason thing where, McDermott said he wasn't at practice, his agent said he was, I think that's going to blow over relatively quick. We know him and Josh Allen have a great chemistry together. Mario, I was talking to you a little bit about it. If you want to look at somebody on the Buffalo Bills who is intriguing, I'm going with Damian Harris. I mean, unless they make another move in the offseason, he's probably going to be RB1 in that backfield. It's a guy that made a ton of plays in a limited role in New England. I mean, he basically split that backfield 50-50 with Ramondre Stevenson. 2 years ago when he was the guy, he had 929 yards and 15 touchdowns, and he wasn't even an every down back. Guy's averaging 4.7 a carry through his entire career. Now, he was injured a little bit last year, but he's only been in the league 4 years, doesn't have a ton of tread on the tires because of that split backfield role. I mean, we say it every year. The thing this Buffalo offense is missing is a really good running back. Behind that offensive line, with that passing game with Josh Allen. I think Damian Harris can make a lot of plays in this offense. I think he's a guy people are sleeping on.
I'm with you in the direction there. They definitely need to improve the running game, man. We talked about it a lot on our fantasy football podcast. The situation in the backfield there with Singletary and Moss and others just wasn't really as effective, I think, as they needed to be. And Josh Allen, a lot of games, is their leading rusher. I think similar to Jaden Daniels, how we were talking about with LSU, he just physically needs the help from his running backs, right? And I'm starting to kind of feel bad for Bills fans, man. The last couple of years have been transcendent for their franchise. Like, they should be proud of what they've been able to do relative to their history before. We should remember what happened that year when the Bills made the playoffs and needed the Bengals to win a game. Remember that? Andy Dalton makes a clutch drive. They score a touchdown. They win the game. And that put the Bills in the playoffs for the first time in many years. Like, people in Buffalo donated like tens of thousands of dollars to Andy Dalton's charity when that happened. So the Bills have made progress as an organization. Their fans should be happy about that. That being said, it kind of feels like the early 90s, right? They go to 4 straight Super Bowls. They lose 4 straight Super Bowls. And they haven't even made an appearance in the big game yet. But I'm sure having all these expectations and falling short of even making the Super Bowl starting to wear on Bills fans a little bit. I think McDermott, Josh Allen, and the crew may be under a little bit of pressure to take that next step this year.
Yeah, I agree with you. And look, when Kareem Hunt was on the trading block last year, which free agent, by the way, they could still get him, but a lot of people are like, the Bills have to trade for this guy. They have to make a move. For whatever reason, they did not last year. I thought last year they had a really good shot of making it to that Super Bowl. They didn't. And what happened? We saw Josh Allen in the postseason. Teams keyed in on the passing game. He had nowhere to go with the football. He didn't look good, and it wasn't really his fault. He had no running game to rely on. That was a game in the snow a little bit, and while Burrow played good in that game with the Bengals, they were able to grind it out a little bit more with Joe Mixon. They couldn't do that because of that lack of a running game. So, yeah, if a guy like Damian Harris comes in, I think he could be an X factor for that team. It all depends on how they use them. I mean, they really haven't used their running backs that much, but is that due to their scheme or is that due to more not trusting the personnel you have? We'll see what happens. But, yeah, big year for McDermott and Josh Allen.
Yeah, either way, they got to run the ball between the tackles more, in my opinion. As somebody who has a lot of Bills players on fantasy, that is a kind of a glaring weakness, I think, going forward. They need to get more production out of their running backs either way. Before we hit this last segment, I wanted to discuss one more interesting name on this list. We're talking about a write-up at ESPN.com by Dan Graziano. These are the most intriguing players in the NFL coming into the season. And towards the bottom of this list, we see Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. And this is a man who I witnessed tear up a really good Saints defense in the 2018 NFC Championship. I know the Saints still should have won that game, the no call, all that. But Jared Goff showed some serious stones in that performance, in my opinion. And Stafford was obviously an upgrade. I thought McVay was even kind of disrespectful in some of his comments when they brought in Matthew Stafford, but I don't think he's trash. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I mean, he's signed for the next 2 years at a really good price, in my opinion, $26 million per year. Sounds like a lot on the surface, but relative to what other QBs are doing with his production, I think that's good value. And this is a really good year for him to maybe get a contract extension if he plays well. And he played well the second half of last season. Jared Goff finishes the year with 4,438 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 7 picks, which is a really good ratio. The Lions started out of the gate slow, but they won, 6 out of their last 7 games, and now the expectations are there for them this season. I thought Jared Goff had a really good year last year, and if he's able to build on it, we might be talking about him the same way we were when he was the number 1 overall pick and going to the Super Bowl with the Rams.
Yeah, I don't see why he can't build on it. Most of his weapons are back. I mean, he loses his 2 running backs in DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, but he replaces them. I mean, he gets Jahmyr Gibbs in the draft, who I loved. I didn't think they reached for him at all. Then they trade for David Montgomery, who's there from Chicago. So you still got that pass catcher out of the backfield like Williams was. You got the between the tackles runner like DeAndre Swift. So it's almost a wash there. And like you said, he was second in QBR behind only Patrick Mahomes in the last half of the season. And while I don't care about QBR that much, he was great. For most of last season, they were the number 1 scoring offense in the entire league. I mean, it was their defense that kind of let them down more than anything. Goff was solid really all year long. And I understand that they traded him and moved on from him. And, you know, it kind of gets you a bad reputation. It's not really your fault. Like, oh, the Rams move on from you. They win the Super Bowl the very next year. Now, I obviously think Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback than him, but I don't think it was Goff's fault. I mean, they didn't have a running game. Cam Akers wasn't there yet. He was solid as a rookie with Stafford. Cooper Kupp was hurt his last year in L.A. Robert Woods was hurt Goff's last year in L.A. I mean, his number one target was Tyler Higbee his last year there, and he had no running game behind him, and the defense hadn't picked it up yet. I mean, I don't think it was all on Jared Goff. I've always thought that Jared Goff has been a pretty good quarterback, and it's kind of showing right now with a change of scenery.
I agree. It's a big season for him. And speaking of quarterbacks with big seasons coming up, a lot of people think Deshaun Watson's going to be a totally different player last year. And I guess there's a conversation to be had with everything that happened with his legal troubles. I think we've beaten that drum hard enough. But just on the football side of things, not being able to practice with the suspension, it was tough for him to step in there and be effective with the new team. But now with the whole offseason, and with Kevin Stefanski becoming more familiar with him, I think Deshaun Watson could be primed to maybe have a big season. He's towards the bottom of this list. But what do you think of Deshaun Watson, Taylor? I know a guy that you've been high on really since he came into the NFL.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm that high on him this year, though. Now, I think he could have a good season. It all depends on what production they get out of the receivers outside of Amari Cooper. I mean, they're kind of going all in on David Njoku, who's a guy that they've kind of juggled a little bit. They brought in an Austin Hooper that didn't work out. They've never 100% been sold on Njoku, and it kind of seems like they are now. But what are you going to get from him? He's been hurt a lot. Cooper's great. He's getting older. Now you lose Kareem Hunt. That's one less weapon out of the backfield. Chubb's great, but he's not the pass catcher Hunt is. It all depends on the production they get out of the receivers, because while I think their O-line is going to be better than last year, this is not the same Cleveland O-line that you had from 2, 3, 4 years ago. So I still think Watson has a lot to prove, and I don't know if his weapons are quite good enough to maybe make a deep run in the playoffs, but I think he'll be improved over last year for sure.
I think so too. We'll see to what degree. Their offseason's been okay, I think, but I think Deshaun Watson will be a lot more effective than he was last year. It was a tough spot. So, Taylor, we're getting a lot more airtime today. With T-Bob and Jake being out, we do got to hit a break here and get to Ask the Bench in the final segment. But I'm thinking you've been such a big help today. I want to give you 60 seconds to talk about the Dallas Cowboys and how juiced up or not juiced up you are at this stage in the offseason. We're getting a little closer. You were really upset with the quarterback last year. You feeling any more optimistic about him or about the rest of the team going into 2023?
Why are you doing this to me? Dak does still play quarterback in Dallas, correct?
Yes.
Then why would I be more optimistic about the quarterback position this year than last year? I joke a little bit. I think they'll be okay. It's going to be tough in that division if Daniel Jones keeps playing the way he is. We know what the Eagles did in the draft as what they already were last year. I like some of the moves they made. I really wish they would have kept Dalton Schultz over Tony Pollard.
That was surprising.
Yeah, and I love Tony Pollard. And I also didn't think they filled that need as good as they could have in that draft. I really do think they wanted Dalton Kincaid. The Bills traded up, got him one pick before, but you had Michael Mayer sitting out there. You had a lot of guys. You drafted the tight end out of Michigan, but out of Luke Schoonmaker, I don't know how good he's going to be in this offense. Plus, you get rid of a Zeke, and I know everybody here loves to pick on me. Oh, Zeke's not the player he used to be. Yeah, but he was still really good inside the 10-yard line. He still scored a lot of touchdowns, and he could get you that short yardage. You got rid of him. You've really kind of yet to replace that role. I mean, Pollard's not that guy. Pollard's an explosive guy. He can get to the outside, catch the ball out of the backfield. He is not a between-the-tackles runner. I don't really know what they're going to do as far as replacing him, but am I super optimistic about him this year? No, not really.
I mess with you about it all the time. Zeke's last snap with Dallas was crazy disrespectful. Like, they were lining up to do, end of the game. Sometimes you do a Hail Mary. Sometimes you try to set up like an inverted hook and ladder type of thing, right? And they put Zeke at center on that play. And I forgot who the D lineman was, but he just got blown up. He wasn't even in the States or anything. Like, he was going to get blown up just based off of his alignment. That was his last ever snap with the Dallas Cowboys. I find that hilarious. Taylor finds it a little less funny, but it's all good. Very excited to experience a football season with this man right here. I'm also very excited for the final segment. Get your questions into the Bayou 4 chat starting right now. #AskTheBench. I'll answer any questions about sports, about life that you may have. Wrap up the show. Up next, this is Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB, OT. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street. The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
It's Matt Moscona wishing everyone a happy and safe 4th of July weekend. We are working Monday. So we'll see you here from 3 to 6 for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Have a great 4th of July, and we'll see you Monday on AFR.
Brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
OTB OT with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
Having some laughs over the break. Definitely sympathize with Taylor's Cowboys fandom. Reminds me so much of my Pelicans fandom, at least since we've been alive. Time to wrap up the show with some Ask the Bench. Got some good interaction in the chat. Thanks for everybody for hanging out here today, by the way. Hashtag Ask the Bench. This is from Wit. What do you think of my division winner parlay? Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco, Cincy, Philly. I kind of like it, man, honestly, but for some reason, I feel like the Eagles will regress at least a little bit this year. Like, they'll still be a playoff team. They'll still be good, but somebody in the division might surprise us. Maybe the Giants, maybe Taylor's Cowboys, but I would not take your parlay just because of your Eagles pick there. Hashtag Ask the Bench, Daniel Basham. Do y'all mess with T-Bob and Jake's stuff whenever they're not here, like putting their stapler in Jell-O? No, but that's a great idea, especially anything that involves Jell-O. Jell-O hot around these parts at the moment. Shout out to Daniel for the question. Hashtag Ask the Bench. Who has the comfiest chair in the studio? Taylor seems to think it's mine, and honestly, I kind of agree with you, man.
No, it is yours for sure because, like, okay, so the chair that I'm sitting in, it's got a better back than Casey's, but the cushion in that chair is way softer than any other cushion in the studio. It's the audio producer chair.
It is a comfy chair. Can't even lie. Grateful to at least get that. Hashtag Ask the Bench. How many dogs does Chestnut eat tomorrow? Taylor was telling me Joey Chestnut's still competing, which is impressive. Let's go 80. Is that in the ballpark?
80. I'll go 72. His numbers have been down a little bit, Mario.
Okay.
72.
Fair. Hashtag Ask the Bench. Favorite firework to set off for the 4th? I kind of like the Roman candles. I don't know, maybe just a little kid in me, but I like holding the actual firework as the sparks are coming out. Y'all got any thoughts on which fireworks y'all like?
I like obviously your standard big explosion in the sky, but I like the Saturn missiles. You know, the ones that go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like those. Those are cool too.
That noise definitely gets the dopamine flowing. I like those as well. Hashtag Ask the Bench. Hot dogs, sausage, or bratwurst? How come burgers isn't a choice there? I'm just joking. I know you're doing a weenie thing there. I'll probably go Cajun sausage, like an alligator sausage. If I had a choice, that would probably be my pick.
That's not bad. I love hot dogs though. I'm going straight up American hot dog, ketchup, mustard, whatever you want on it.
Okay. I do like mustard on a hot dog. That's a controversial opinion to some, but I always do ketchup, mustard, Tony Chachere's. That's all I need on my hot dog. Hashtag Ask the Bench. This is a good one to end on. What are your plans for the 4th of July? I'm just chilling, man. I'm going to be with family, my niece, my mom, my stepdad, my girlfriend. I'm looking forward to a chill 4th of July. How about y'all?
May go see the new Indiana Jones movie tomorrow night. Maybe
right.
something I do. Hadn't been to the movies in a while, but we'll probably grill some hot dogs during the day.
All right, sounds good. Well, that'll pretty much do it for us here today. Thanks for all the interaction today, as I said, from the chat. Shout out to Carter the Power Bryant for coming on, giving us some insight on LSU football. Shout out to Hold the Mayo, giving us the origins of his Hold the Mayo moniker. If you missed any of those conversations, any of those topics, you can catch that on demand, 1045ESPN.com, also on the YouTube page. Thanks for joining us here today. Hope everybody has a happy 4th of July weekend. Long live America. Off the Bench, 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB, OT.
Yeah, I actually think, I think Nick probably has a little more Cal pride sports-wise than Cammy does. I'm not sure. Go to Accutemp in Baton Rouge, AccutempBR.com, AccutempBR.com for all your AC, heat, and electrical needs. Y'all check out the reviews online. They're going to blow you away. So when you see service to the highest degree, you know that ain't just talk. They walk the walk, okay? If you get a new AC install, you get a free premium clean air package. That's $1,800 of value. Going to drastically clean up the air in your home. Going to probably have you avoid the awful sounding voice that I've had all month long. Accutemp of Baton Rouge.
Go to the website, AccutempBR.com. Right there, as soon as you log on, it is going to pull up a chat box. So if you've got a question, a concern, whatever it might be, they can answer that right there on the site. But go check out the online reviews. The online reviews will show you the internet hates everything, but they love Accutemp and AccutempBR.com.
There it is, the extra.